A very good morning to you and welcome to the news update on Sook News Television. I am Omivi Idolor. President Bola Tinubu says his administration has met its 2025 non-oil revenue target of 13.07 trillion naira within the first 7 months, eliminated the need for fresh borrowing to fund government operations. He noted that the naira is stabilizing at 1,450 naira to the dollar, pledging that Nigeria will now focus on infrastructure, trade, and job creation. The president also announced a nationwide farm mechanization program to boost food security while urging Nigerians to ignore political distractions ahead of 2027 elections. He assured supporters of reforms anchored on transparency and economic stability, stressing that his government is committed to justice, progress, and shared prosperity. The Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE, says it will, for the first time, list 2 electricity distribution companies and 1 generation company on the Nigerian exchange to boost transparency and widen investors' participation. Director General Ayodeji Beleyi disclosed that the federal and state governments plan to offload parts of their residual stakes. A move he shared aligns with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. The initiative is part of BPE's 2025 target to raise 312.3 billion naira through strategic transactions, having already generated 170.7 billion naira from the Zungeru hydropower and Afam 3 fast power projects. While Beleyi admitted challenges in the power sector, he stressed that improved governance, privatization, and public-private partnerships remain key to reforming states, enterprises, and ensuring shared prosperity. The Federal Ministry of Works has commenced urgent intervention on the damaged deck of the Benin-bound section of the Shagamu-Benin carriageway following reports of a visible puncture on the bridge at the Edo-Ondo border. Minister of Works David Umahi directed a team of engineers to the site, assuring motorists that traffic will be managed on the lane while full rehabilitation is carried out. The ministry said the affected bridge, built in 1981, requires a 45-day curing period after concrete works before reopening to traffic. Umahi confirmed that the government will execute a permanent solution through full deck reconstruction using innovative engineering technology as part of nationwide rehabilitation efforts covering over 30 bridges in 2025. He apologized for the inconveniences and praised public vigilance that drew attention to the damage. The minister emphasized that President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope projects are designed to revamp aging infrastructure and position Nigeria's transport sector as a driver of economic growth. Lagos State will host Entertainment Week Africa (EWA) from November 18 to 23rd, 2025, rebranded from Entertainment Week Lagos to expand its reach across the continent. The event will spotlight music, film, fashion, technology, and live production, featuring 6 flagship experiences, including a content festival, music festival, fashion festival, AI and Tech Expo, live production expo, and creative job fair. Organizers say the platform is designed to open doors for emerging creatives through mentorship, funding, and global market access. Co-founder of Live Sport 360, Dare Art Alade, said the initiative has grown from a local concept into continental force, with Africa's creative industries projected to generate billions in GDP and millions of jobs. EWA 2025 aims to bridge gaps between talent, infrastructure, and investment, positioning Africa's creative economy on the global stage while providing structured entry points for international investors. The cost of compressed natural gas, CNG, has surged from 230 naira to 450 naira per standard cubic meter after the government reduced subsidies, with trucks paying the full rate while buses and private cars enjoy partial relief at 380 naira. Officials from the presidential CNG initiative said the focus is now on expanding refueling stations to address supply shortages that push vehicles owners back to petrol. Retailers warned prices could climb to 500 to 600 naira SAM to attract private investors, further narrowing the gap between CNG and petrol. Despite over 1,000 vehicles already converted and 265 centers created, users who spent up to 1.5 million naira on conversion say rising costs and queues risk undermining confidence in the program launched to cushion the impact of petrol subsidy removal. Many thanks for watching. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Sook News Television. I am Omevi Idolo. Coming up shortly is Sook Business Landscape. Stay with us.
Muhammad Yunus was born on the 28th of June 1940 in the village of Batwa, Chittagong, a British Indian colony which is currently known as Bangladesh. He attended Lama Bazar Primary and Secondary School in his village and passed the matriculation examination into Chittagong Collegiate School, where he ranked 16th out of 39,000 students. After his graduation in 1960,
all those things, when we have this holistic process, it will be captured, and that the vision is to have a progressive tax, that if you earn more, you pay more, and if you earn less, you will not pay.
Under his leadership, FIRS exceeded its 2023 revenue target of 11.55 trillion naira. As chairman of FIRS, Dr. Adedeji implemented a performance-based system aligning with the service's new slogan, simplifying tax, maximizing revenue.
Dr. Zaka Adedeji has done incredibly well in transforming and reforming the tax processes and procedures in Nigeria. In a little over a year being at the helm of the affairs of the tax body in Nigeria, we have seen a significant improvement in revenue generation. His policy of not crumbling business with taxation is something that also needs to be applauded. Zaka Adedeji philosophy is taxing fruits and not the seed, and taxing prosperity, not poverty. Because if you look at the fiscal landscape of Nigeria in the past 10 years, you find that businesses have struggled to live, and that has led to the exit of so many businesses from Nigeria. But with this new reform, we're saying that the businesses will profit from the reforms processes, and that will mean more business for Nigeria. We will have a lot of foreign inflow in terms of foreign direct investment that will actually drive the process of economic growth for the country. And I think he has done so well, and he deserves a kudos, especially for taking the giant stride to restructure FRS for efficiency, for accountability, and for value for money.
He has also made the welfare of the staff a top priority, fostering a positive working environment that has brought smiles to the faces of FIRS employees nationwide. Supporters of the tax reform bills highlight several key benefits, harping on the need for streamlined tax processes that could reduce bureaucratic hurdles and foster an environment where businesses can thrive.
He has initiated a lot of reform which dovetail into the tax reform bills that is before the National Assembly. This initiative is to improve on the tax administration system in Nigeria with a view to improving on the collection systems that will be beneficial to every member of the Nigerian state. ZAC, as is well known, has improved on simplifying tax reform even within the federal land revenue, which in no means has improved on tax administration, and he celebrated essentially for the core initiative of the tax reform.
Under Dr. Adedeji's leadership, Nigeria's tax system has gone beyond mere policy adjustments. Its focus is on fostering sustainable growth and ensuring that the benefits of tax reforms reach both businesses and citizens.
So those that are attacking the bill, one, they are doing that in view of the formula they discovered, which may not be, will not augur well for them on the bad allocation. And then secondly, they may be having the feeling that this law was just designed to favor Lagos State in the course of its own effort to become a state that has special status. Okay? It says so that will make it to be seen as if it is a country of its own, even though it's not up to the level of country, but it is higher than all other states in the country. Probably this may be the reason why they are agitating. The one that you can see clearly is on this issue of VAT, and then they have other suspicion. So that is another worry that I have, the issue of trust. Trust, what do some experts call trust deficit. Yes, will be promoted greatly by this if corrective measures are not taken. Graduation has not been defined. But then people have to go by what is happening now. As they go against it. Since now the graduation is about contribution of state that are producing these goods and services being consumed. So they have the right to just say that, oh, well, so now instead of 20%, it will now be 60%. And then you hear the government functionaries, including members of the committee, saying that no, that's not what they mean. They mean area of consumption. This 60% graduation is about consumption area, not location of the headquarters of company that produce the good or services. You should have defined that in the law.
Contributing to long-term national development, Dr. Zach A. Adedeji's career is a testament of his unwavering commitment to improving Nigeria's financial systems and enhancing revenue generation, showcasing his exceptional expertise in corporate and public finance.
market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later under the British indirect rule. It's surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of lock-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also let citizens see something. This is Souk business landscape.
A very good morning to you and welcome to Souk Business Landscape. We are reaching you live from our studios at Souk News TV. I'm Oyinpriye Krumale. Now in this program, we connect the dots across Nigeria's real economy. A bold fiscal claim from Aso Rock, long-awaited capital market reforms in power, a fraud clampdown at our airports, cost shocks in household goods and transport energy, targeted farm financing in the north, and a looming global risk to peacekeeping that could ripple through African markets. We'll unpack what each headline means and who's affected and the hard choices for policy and investors as Nigeria chases growth, stability, and shared prosperity. Good morning to you once again and welcome to the program. It's a men's world. Today it's Wednesday. Good morning to you, Chooks.
Good morning, Priye. Good morning, Olumide. And for everyone out there, good morning and welcome to SBL. Let the show begin.
Yes. And the night.
Good morning, Priye. Good morning, Chooks. So glad to be here. Let's do business, economy, and development.
Let's do business, economy, and development. So now, let me tell you about some of the stories we'll be talking about. First, the presidency says 2025 non-oil revenues have already hit the full-year target of 13.07 trillion naira in 7 months. This implies less pressure to borrow. It also frames a shift toward infrastructure, jobs, and an expanded farm mechanization push. Secondly, the BPE, Bureau of Public Enterprise, plans to list 2 DISCOs and 1 GENCO on the Nigerian exchange. We've been expecting that. Selling parts of the federal state residual stakes to improve governance and widen the public ownership, targeting 312.3 billion naira in 2025 transactions. Thirdly, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission seeks tighter MCAA overnight, especially in private wings, to combat fraudulent ticketing, illicit flows, non-remittances of charges, and illegal charters. It's a compliance shock intended to clean up the system and the revenue leakages and restore investor confidence in aviation services. Fourthly, with reduced subsidies and supply tightening, the CMG now costs 450 naira per standard cubic meter truck. And the pay full rate businesses cars are partially relieved at 380 naira. Retailers won that prices may climb further to attract private investment, narrowing the savings versus petrol and testing the presidential CNG rollout. And then the NBS data shows that the average 12.5 kg LPG refill rose from 14,261 naira for the month of July 2024 to 20,609 naira. Now, a 44.5% year-on-year jump, fueling energy poverty and risking a shift back to firewood, charcoal, and many other sources. We still have more stories, but as the LBS, that's the Souk Business Landscape, the SBL, move in this train, we will look at others as the time is considered. We're going to break and we'll return with the ground running. Just stay with us.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
He said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souk Business Landscape.
Welcome once again to Souk Business Landscape. We are reaching you from the tallest building on the island. I'm Oyin Priye Krumale. And now let's begin with our first story. President Bola Tinubu says his administration has met its 2025 non-oil revenue target of 13.07 trillion naira within the first 7 months, eliminating the need for fresh borrowing to fund government operations. He noted that naira is stabilizing at 1,450 naira to the dollar, pledging that Nigeria will now focus on infrastructure, trade, and job creation. The president also announced a nationwide farm mechanization program to boost food security while urging Nigerians to ignore political distractions ahead of 2027. He assured supporters of reforms anchored on transparency and economic stability, stressing that his government is committed to justice, progress, and shared prosperity. Yes, Chooks, good morning to you. 13.07 trillion non-oil exports. It was far below that the first time we started experiencing the increment and the upward rising of the non-oil export. And now we're getting this from the horse's mouth itself.
Okay.
I think we're heading somewhere very, very positive, and it looks like the president boastfully spoke about it yesterday in the news.
Yes, we are heading somewhere positive, but we are not there yet. It's not something to shout and be merry about. 13-point-something trillion is less than what Hollywood will gross in 5 major movies. So we shouldn't shout. Another question we should ask, that lump of money, is it profit? No, it's not. Government export for non-oil export, that includes both cost of production, cost of drilling, cost of mining, because a lot of them that we exported are major raw materials. It could be solid minerals, it could be agricultural product, but if it's agricultural product, then most of the money didn't come to government. Now,
if it's agricultural product,
most of more than 90% of it is not coming to government. And if it's still agricultural product, more than 80% of it is not coming to Nigeria. It's money made by international companies working here in Nigeria. That's one side of it. That's one sad part of it. Now, and that's the second part of that conversation.
Before you go to the second part,
okay.
The presidency, when he mentioned non-oil export, was not quite specific.
Yes.
About what direction of the oil export is coming from. So we can't completely pin it to agricultural products.
We can't even pin it to agricultural product. But once we say non-oil product, we know it's not crude.
Combination
it's not crude, it's not gas. So what else is Nigeria exporting that will give us that much money? We are not exporting services that much. We really even export service that much as a country. So what are we going to be looking at? Solid minerals. That's the next place our mind will go to for what Nigeria is exporting. Then we now also look at a bit of agriculture, raw materials. But when we're looking at agriculture, government will be making majority tax because government is not exporting palm oil, they're exporting cocoa. These are all private initiatives. But we are looking at this particular money being what government has made. So majorly is going to come from solid minerals that are not gas and not crude oil.
Okay, before you go to the second aspect of your conversation, let me entertain Olumide's perspective in this area. The government boastfully said it. In fact, the president himself said it. So, what's your take?
He said something. He said this is not, should not be seen as, or we should not focus on 2027. But critics could also say this is also a move towards 2027 because he's boastfully saying that we do not need to borrow anymore. But how transparent? Both of you are still bickering on non-oil revenue. Where is it coming from?
Okay.
I'm saying print, publish, everything. Let's know where the source of this 13 trillion naira came from, or is coming from. Excuse me. Let's know it. Transparency is the only way to go. We can decide to do so many things, but transparency is the major thing. Publish where this is coming from. Now, we're in the fourth quarter, right? So what if we fall short?
I think we are in the third
quarter.
So
in the fourth quarter, what if we fall short? Is businesses or taxes going to increase for businesses? There are a lot of things we need to really look at, because if you say, the way he said it, like we do not need to borrow. Countries borrow, let's be fact.
No, let's really dwell on we do not need to borrow.
Okay, we do not need to borrow.
Is that because I know you are itching to
where I'm going to now, we do not need to borrow. What are in place to make sure we do not need to borrow remains we do not need to borrow, so that one governor will not go and borrow somewhere and our plane will be grounded in Paris or in Brazil. So what exists? What mechanisms exist? Because this person that is saying we do not need to borrow
able to do that. Why does it look like he just committed a crime?
I'm not saying he committed a crime. Okay, let me break it down. How much is crude right now in the international market? Give and take, let's say crude is selling for $68, $67, $65 per barrel. Do you think that is how much we're making? You have to take out cost of producing the crude itself.
Yes.
Cost of the partners that have to take their own shares. Then what is left is what now comes to the government on the principle of sharing. It's not the $65 that come to the government. I don't know if you understand. So if this is what we've exported, non-oil product, what percentage of this is profit that belongs to government? Now, let's now leave that and come to the budget you went into. Now, pre 55.99 trillion budget for 2025. Right?
Yes.
Good. Now, of this amount, 14.35 trillion is for debt servicing.
Yes.
14.35 out of 54.99.
Yes.
Debt servicing alone.
Yes.
Now let's now go. We have a deficit of 13.08 trillion.
Yes.
To be funded by debt, loans, and assets.
Yes.
And in the last 7-8 months, we've seen government sell bonds not once, not twice, not thrice, and they've all been oversubscribed.
Those are revenues. Those are income.
Which income? Is debt, loan. Now, in the last month alone, there was an approval for a loan of 21 billion. Now, if we look at that, that will give us about 210% of our deficit. That alone can fund half the budget. So if we have this particular loan that has been approved to 1.20 billion, why are you
billion that should suffice for taking care of the
budget already? The loans that are being serviced, whether taken by them or taken by previous administration, that servicing is in the budget already.
Annual servicing
is there. It's 14.32.
Yes,
it's there already out of this lot. Now the deficit in the budget was only 13.08. Now at the benchmark of 70-something dollars per barrel for crude oil. Now we went ahead. This is not even the first loan that we've taken in this year. Well, this is the major bulk loan that we've taken. 21 billion. This alone can take care of this deficit and also take care of whatever shortfalls the oil was making. I will still have well over 100% of this left. Over 50% of this left. So when we now see the talks about we don't need to borrow anymore, we now ask questions. The ones that we've borrowed is no more than enough.
So Chicks, I think something that we need to understand is this. When the government takes a loan, there are different existing projects, ongoing projects.
It's as if you don't understand me. There was no need of mentioning that we don't even need loan, we don't need more loan.
No, see, Chooks, I think we must try to consider and understand what sometimes the president or the presidency is saying.
Okay.
If he mentions that there might be not need for us to take loan, it doesn't completely nullify the fact that the government is not going to request for more loan.
We have a $21 billion loan last month. $21 billion loan. If you calculate that, that is well over 30-something trillion. How much is the entire budget?
And do you think that specific loan is going to come in lump sum complete 21 billion? These are loans, just a moment.
I do not share.
These are loans.
These are loans. So they know better.
No, see, these are loans that comes in phases. We have seen in Ghana. We have seen
help us with this 21 billion.
We have seen even in Ghana about loans that were approved 3 years ago. A part of it they got this year. A part of it they got this year. So I don't think it's a complete. It's a complete when the government goes up borrowing and $21 billion loan have been scheduled, doesn't mean that the complete $21 billion is just going to hit the account of the government.
Okay, so help us and tell us how the loan is going to come.
Well, these loans are scheduled in different phases.
This particular loan,
this falls down on transparency.
It is scheduled in different phases. No,
tell us how this one is going to come.
Except it's a loan that had to do with something as small as $2 billion. Except it's a loan as small. But you say 21 billion is going to hit. How much is the budget?
How is it going to come? Yeah, that's the question.
No, please, Chooks.
You are talking from a place of knowledge. So enlighten us, because we were not told how this money is going to come, or specifically who was going to fund this money, or how and what it's going to be used for. They were just giving a whole lot of rhetorics on it. So since you know better, can you tell us how this 21 billion is going to
Chooks, I'm not going to answer your question.
Okay.
All right. And I don't think it is good for us to take it to that aspect. I just made a comparison of Ghana that obtained loan from the one of the Bretton Woods institution. And part of that loan, even though it was obtained about 3-4 years ago, a part of that loan, which ran into about $3 billion or more, Ghana received it this year.
There are different schedules for
loans. So it's quite understandable if the $21 billion is not going to hit the Nigerian government account at once, because it's going to come in phases. There are loans that were taken by the previous administration, some of which hit the account of this current administration. And these are to do with the same thing that are to do with expenditures, even from the same government, even from the different governments and in different administration. We must not neglect that side. Fine, it's good to put the government on the spotlight, but we have to put the government on the spotlight in a pedestal where we can equally understand the strength of the government, understand the weaknesses of the government, and not just of the government, but of the nation as a whole.
Okay, so how sustainable is this new revenue growth that we're talking about?
Oh, if 7 months we have been able to do this.
It means that it's sustainable.
Obviously, hopefully, I think the government is going to speak on that. But we are giving analysis.
We shouldn't be thinking if we can do this in 7 months, we should be able to.
But I don't think the government knew. I don't think the government knew 7 months back that it's actually going to surpass its non-oil export.
Hold on. With the activities that the government has been doing all this while,
7 months back that it should know.
It's a plan.
Okay, fine. The government planned. The government planned about $75 or $70 or $75 for as the benchmark for the 2025 budget. As we speak now, the price of oil or the price of the crude is down to 65. That's equally a plan.
If falls short of that benchmark,
can I say something?
Falls short of that benchmark. That's why I'm saying how sustainable, because we are projecting that, okay, it remains, or let's say it remains at 65. If it falls short, what happens?
Projections are not stone cast.
Okay. Now, there are buffers to take care of.
That's where I'm going.
But let's focus on this non-oil export. Now, this is, okay, let's say solid minerals. Government has put a lot of investment, and they've put a minister that should know his onion, and they've been pushing him to get things done. So government knows very well that we are going to do good and do well here. And that is reflecting right now from this. The same thing is happening with agriculture. So government cannot come from beginning of the year to this particular point and say we don't know that this is going to be this good after making sure that things work. No.
And the second part of the story was talking about farm mechanization.
Yes, we can't rate things that much.
We also need to we also need to look at what mechanisms or whatever is put in place to ensure this farming mechanization actually works.
Okay, you just spoke about farm mechanization, but before I come in on the farm mechanization, I would like Chooks to have his own take too on that.
Now, see, we've seen a lot of input from this particular administration. And they are saying, okay, a lot of input.
Great.
So now it has to go beyond the corridors of power, beyond the committees and conferences. People on ground, state governors, local government chairmen, they have to stand up and follow up with whatever the presidency and president is saying. Because we cannot have this particular monies right now that they say in 7 months we've achieved this. We must surpass this. We have to see a way whereby agriculture alone should give us more than this.
Yes.
And that can only happen when we see farmers on ground with assistance from federal, state, and local government, making sure that this particular policy of the federal government is achieved not in bedrooms, not on people's offices, but on the farms themselves. Now we are going mechanization. Okay, it's good, but now how do we now get farmers together? Because most people farm is more. It's more skills.
Yes.
But for you to get a tractor in, you must get a lot of people to come together, and whatever mechanization work on everybody's farm at the same time. That makes things easy. Where are the extension workers? Are we depending on federal government? Or we should make sure that the local government are carried along and given the responsibility of making sure that, just like you were saying the other day, we need data on who is farming, what are you farming, what assistance do you need, what is the production level of every single state, down to the local government, because we must contribute our own quota to make sure that this food insecurity is a foregone issue in this nation. Yes, we'll talk about insecurity, but for where we can farm, we must make sure we farm. Then for international, national, what's it called, companies that are here and are taking the major bulk of that particular sector, our local companies must also come in and play in that sector and not just wait to supply raw materials to those that will process and bring back finished product this way.
Okay, so I think we must consider two very, very important things. Number one is, if I'm going to give, if we are going to proffer advice to the government on what we need to do to boost agricultural produce and to consolidate the government's effort in food security, is that the government must pay attention to foreign countries or foreign organizations that, you know, go to our communities that bought the wide expanse of land, running into hundreds of acres of lands, and they are planting agricultural produce and they are exporting almost 100% of their agricultural produce out of this country. And that is where we are going to need government intervention to really speak with these organizations. Yes, we know you have this, you have that, and you are making jobs available for those who are coming to get jobs in the local farms. However, we do not want you to take 100% of your produce out of this country. In fact, you should be mandated by law to leave at least about 35% of your look. Just a moment.
Why?
Of your produce
to service the economy, to service the
provide people. Because you are getting this away from here. This is your investment. Yes, we know. And I know that in the free trade zone areas, there is a law that you cannot take out 100%. You can only take out 75% of your produce or of goods that you manufactured in this country that you are selling in those free trade areas, or the manufacturing was done through the legal provisions that gives the place for that organization to come and carry out production activities in the country under the umbrella of the free trade zone area. About 25% of those produce were supposed to be, left to be sold within the country, and 75% you have the liberty to export out of this country. The government must, through policy framework and institutional regulation, make sure that they stick those multinationals or those organizations that engage in that, including Nigerian organizations, must do that. 25% of those produce here. And if we are reaching into any other alignment, we have to make sure that, look, 100% of your produce should not be getting out of this country, because as a government, we have the responsibility to make sure food and every other essentials are available for the grab for our populace, so that we do not experience lack and shortage, because it's even the same thing the government did when we have talked about oil, and our oils are being transported out of the country. We saw them in the borders going to Niger Republic, going to Cameroon, and the government, the customs and the border police had to return some of those trucks back into the country. I think we should toe the same line. Secondly, because of this push for food security, we have seen recent alignment between Nigerian government and the Brazilian government. True. And we've seen how $2.6 billion is lying there wait to commence production when we talk about industrial farming and agriculture. If you listen to the president's speech yesterday, it was more about food production, and that if you're going to take care of poverty, you make sure that that food, access to food, is taken care of. Is that not a positive development? And he's just not talking, but he's also putting his hands in the dirt, and we can see that in the strategic alignment. Olumide.
Well, it's a good one. My own take and my own stand, or for me, the way forward is, number one, publish a detailed breakdown of this new revenue growth, this 13, because, let's know, just like Chooks is saying, let's know what is profit, let's know what is coming back into the coffers of the government, and let's know where this thing will be channeled to. That's one. Number two, back all these reforms with data transparency. Do so many things that will make sure. Then again, he says that we do not need to borrow anymore. How?
He didn't say we don't need to borrow. I think he said it's going to reduce our chances of borrowing. It doesn't imply that we are not going to borrow anymore.
He said that.
I think that is the impression.
Okay. Let's put it out there. We do not need to borrow. I think that was the word. He said we do not need to borrow. So if we do not need to borrow, let it show. From this today now till 2027, I think, let's see how that will work. That, okay, we are focusing on non-oil revenues. We're focusing on farm mechanization. We're going to get a lot of revenues from this. Hopefully, tax will remain. So he also said he's going to stabilize the naira. I don't know how it's going to do that, but I'm hoping. But let's ask ourselves a very important question. 1,450, is that actually stable? Is that a good deal?
Okay.
That's one thing. But he said he's going to stabilize, which means it's not going to go up. Maybe it might come down, but it's not just going to go up. It might just remain at maybe 450, 400, 300, 1,003. Stabilize it. That would also boost investors' confidence. That would also show that we are self-reliant. If we do not borrow, it would show that, yes, we are self-reliant.
Okay, but lastly, if for a while now, we've seen the dollar stable to the naira, about 1,553, 1,006, and now we see it coming down to 1,450. Are we not making progress?
When we say are we not making progress, it looks like what we have to make progress.
Great.
I don't know. This narrative is not what we should be. It's not debatable. It's not out there for debate. We must make progress. That is why leaders are elected to chart a course and push the country forward. The naira is appreciating. Right now, we are at a good point. That is not where we want to be. We came from somewhere for the devaluation and all the mess that happened in the last administration.
Yeah.
We have to get better. Now, talking about the borrowing, I just hit there and then I will leave. We have a 21 billion. What have we done with it? So let nobody even tell us about borrowing or not borrowing. What have we done with 21 billion?
Okay.
Going back to the agriculture you were talking about, you were saying about the international
our engagement with Brazil.
And those that are here farming already, policy that they shouldn't take out 100%.
Yeah.
I won't go for that kind of policy. Rather, I will say state government, whatever any country or any individual or any company is coming to your state and investing, match them 50 for 50. If they invest 100 million in your economy, in farming, or if they invest 1,000 or 100 hectares in farming, get your people to also farm 100 hectares. It's not difficult, because what we are doing right now is mental laziness. We are depending on people to come here, farm and feed us. Then tomorrow, if they pack and go, what happens? We fall back worse than we were before. So if anybody is coming here to take land in your state and farm 20 hectares, get your people to do exactly the same thing, farm 20 hectares. Let that be a prop, a push for us to get productive. If China is in a village somewhere in Ogun State and farming 100 hectares, what stops Ogun State from getting their people and saying, okay, good, this is our competition. You to farm 100 hectares and give them the support that they need. That way, when they are producing, if they are exporting, it doesn't affect you that much. And mind you, whoever is here that is farming and exporting is also sourcing more from the people, local farmers too. So it's not only exporting what he's making or what he's producing. So we need to be proactive in that and not depend on Brazil tomorrow or depend on China that is here and exporting almost everything, or Nigeria Republic that is our neighbors and we just come once harvest is done and turn the trailer this way and cross the border that way.
Okay, so as we move away to our next story, I think it's important to also to put it there on the table that Nigeria is quite a vast country with more than 200 million people as population with Brazil. Yes, Brazil may be doing very well in mechanized agriculture farming, but yet I don't think they are an island by themselves. Nations depend on each other, and Nigeria cannot be isolated. In order to meet food production and make sure that food percolates to the head of society to the extent that we can have food cheap and locally, if we are able to meet that demand and we can get FDIs and provide jobs for Nigerians when we have some multinational organizations coming to establish and also farm. I think it's a good thing for the government to embrace such, but embracing it will be with care so that we do not go in the wrong direction. We jump straight to our next story. The Bureau of Public Enterprise, BPE, says it will for the first time list 2 electricity distribution companies and 1 generation company on the Nigerian exchange to boost transparency and widen investor participation. The Director General, Ayodeji Bile, disclosed that the federal and state governments plan to offload parts of their residual stakes, a move he said aligns with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. The initiative is part of the BPE's 2025 target to raise 312.3 billion naira through strategic transactions, having already generated 170.7 billion naira from Zungeru Hydropower and Afam 3, the fast power project. While Billy admitted challenges in the power sector, he stressed that improved governance, privatization, and public-private partnerships remain key to reforming state enterprises and ensuring shared prosperity. Jukes.
Yes, President. Now, if you remember, we were talking about the refinery yesterday, and we're saying, why don't we sell them off? There are other avenues and possible ways of getting these things to work, and this is just one of them. Open them up to public participation, not just one person buying it. Then open them up to private boards, not government boards, not civil servants. So this can't work. Now, for the discos, the question that comes to my mind is, okay, hold on. I thought the discos were sold. And I thought a lot of them were owned by private individuals. How do you bring them to the market without these people's express approval? But another thing is, okay, government still has stake in those particular discos. So is it only the government stake you are putting, you are taking public?
Is that possible?
Well,
it's a joint ownership. There has to be consensus from both parties.
We are still watching. Then even if you are taking that particular government stake and taking it public, I'm just asking, just my mind asking this question. How are we sure these same people are not going to buy it off before I'm able to buy one? So these are things that we will need more transparency in them. For distribution companies, yeah, government has been just taking them from the hydropower plants and some of the thermal gas plants. Government has been just taking them. Yes, that is easier for you to take public. But let's see as this story unfolds. But this is a positive one. Let's see as the story unfolds.
Okay, so yesterday I was highlighting the positives and the ripple effects coming from when we're having a conversation about our participation on the deep waters, where we had Sapetro, which is a local firm, domestic. It's having 20% stake in 2,000 square kilometers in deep waters exploration, with Total Energies having about 80%, and how we want to see how we see other potential investors sitting by the side and watching how this is going to pan out, because they are already listed as those who are planning to come into the deep water space for prospective investment. Now, remember some time ago we had a conversation about how limited or how very few we have companies that are listed in the market. And this will open the way for others to want to come in, because if power is critical and we are going to have other investments coming in, this itself looks like it's going to give some form of confidence to other potential investors that might want to come in, probably not just only placing their money here in these two discos and one Genco as stated, but also to look at other power companies and will want to come in there and expand the amount of investment to get not only public trust, because Nigerians are not saying we don't need power. Give us the power, we will pay.
Well, since 2013, when Nigeria privatized parts of the power sector, the performance has been below 50. We thought that...
Below 50?
Yes.
But it has risen to 40 compared to what used to be obtainable.
The only kudos that I can give to them this year is we've had lesser power grid failures.
Power grid failures.
That's what I would give to
this
them
year.
This year.
Okay.
I mean, last year it was
almost a recurrent.
Back to back was like every month. When power goes up, my mind just goes like, oh,
the grid must have
collapsed. So now, like Chuk said, the federal government or Nigeria still owns part, or the lesser part of the power sector in shares and all that. So I'm skeptical about the schematics of how this is going to look like. Are they fully, the Gencos and the Discos, are they fully going into the stock market? Or it's just the Nigerian part of it, or the shares that Nigeria owns that is being listed. But all in all, it's a good move. It's a good move because it will boost investors' confidence. It will attract better governance, because once your business is listed In the capital market, it means you no longer have control. You probably have some control, but you don't have full control of it. People will put money into it and watch it grow. So yes, it will boost investors' confidence. Transparency and accountability would come into play because yes, you now have to show us your books.
Great. That's where
That's where I'm going. You now have to show us your books. But then again, will it actually attract investors? Because looking at the track record, I'm looking at the situation whereby yes, it will take care of all this debt that is hanging because when more money is pumped in, these gencos, these discos can be able to take care of so many things. That's where I'm also looking at, but the track record. Because for people to put money, for me to say I want to put money, if you list your company, and I've been watching your company for, let's say, past 5 years, will I be moved or swayed to want to buy some of your shares? That's one of the things we need to also look at.
Okay.
Then how will it now reflect to the common man? Are we going to see reduced, like you see, tariff or stable power, or a total, well, I might be going out of my head here, but a total removal of this band A, band B thing?
That I don't know. But, Chugs, something significant has been mentioned. You will require to open your books.
Definitely.
And when you open your books, we'll be able to see where you know that you're going to, there's no way you can hide details from the public if you are listed. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of firms do not want to be listed. And some of the firms that Nigerians are looking forward to being listed.
NNPC.
Let's not go there, okay? Let's come here where somewhere. Okay. They are looking forward to being listed. And this in the energy and power industry. And we've seen a few, bracing it. Is it not going to expand ownership and stake? 1. 2, do we not see it that by the time they expand ownership and stake and we begin to see efficiency from the ones that have been listed by way of investors' participation, do you see us having the chance of having more power companies coming into the fold to being listed or trying to meet the conditions of being listed?
Is it positive? Yes. Is it good to engineer and show efficiency? Yes. Now, are we going to have more investors? Yes. Now, this is another thing where most people miss it. When you go to the market and open it up, the Danladi in Kano that drops his 5,000 is an investor. He has invested in the company. Chikodi somewhere in Umuleri that drops his 100,000. He has invested. Wale somewhere in Oshun that drops his 2,000. He has invested. But now, when we have a pool of these people, we will match whatever money we are looking for somebody to bring from any other place as in bulk. But now, the good thing about this is that all these people, their eye is on that particular organization. And they will ask questions because their money is there. And that's the good part of it. You said about opening books. They will open that book. So it's no longer going to be the president wakes up one day and appoints board based on political affiliation or based on compensation for voting me in as a president. No. The shareholders will be the one to say, no,
you don't want him.
You can't be a member of this board. The last board you went to, you crippled it. Because they are protecting their investment. So we'll have a board that is working. People that wake up one morning and know that they are accountable to shareholders. There are 2 major South African companies in Nigeria here. 2 big South African companies in Nigeria here. One is into telecommunication. The other one is into content creation. Those 2 companies have a lot of shares that the government mandated them to give and sell to South Africans, down to retirees. So I don't know. That is why you see a lot of them. They do very well. Because they know that there are people at home waiting for them. So you won't mess up. We should toe that line. We should toe that line. Now, for this discourse and for the discourse majorly, we know that at the time when they went private, a lot of things were shrouded in secrecy. A lot of back-end hand shakes happened. we have to undo those things. We have to undo. It doesn't matter what we talk about the Electricity Act and co. At the end of generation, somebody is still going to distribute. Somebody is still going to transmit. And those particular deals were signed. It's not favoring us. So we have to break that monopoly.
Okay.
So one question I would like to ask, which is, I think on the minds of every other person, is that we're listing these power firms truly improve service delivery. Because that's where it all boils down to. Open your books, get more investors. How are you going to use that newfound wealth, or what will I call it? Are we going to have stable power? Because I just got upgraded from band B to band A, which I did not request for. So, are we going to have that? And, you know, I want us to remove this thought of, oh, it's because you are living in a particular area, that's why you belong to band. No, they are co-orders. The Makokos should get stable power. It doesn't have to do with because they are staying somewhere or you are staying in Banana Island, so you should get, no. Every other person should get stable power.
Pay based on what you consume.
Exactly.
Okay. Infrastructure. Well, I was going to talk about infrastructure briefly. You talked about if power is going to be stable. One of the things that we know that is bedeviling the power industry is infrastructure. And that's why if they are expanding, of course, normally we have more money, so more money should come in, and you should be able to...
Bigger power plants?
They should be able to do or rectify the state of infrastructure in the what's it called? In the infrastructure with regards to wherever they are getting that will aid production, that will aid distribution, and that will aid generation, because if they are in alignment or they are getting gas from a specific thermal plant and it's not efficient, it's not consistent, they will need to change, because they know that they have customers and people are going to ask questions. So they will need to change. Efficiency will come into play. In fact, even before the people start looking at you and asking questions, you want to do right by them, because today you're opening up your books. So by the time people come subscribe, the books are going to be open.
I also feel
efficiency is something that
should also go into the capital market. State-owned power firms.
State-owned power firms.
Yes, they should also go into
it. Well, okay, you're talking about infrastructure now. Yes. We have several power plants currently being built, constructed. Private power. We have several government-owned that they want to sell off. Some have been completed. Now, where we have major issue is transmission and distribution. Over time, we've not been able to transmit what we even generate.
The 12,000 megawatts.
What we generate, we've not been able to transmit that much. Then for distribution, we have a lot of lost in transit power, thanks to corruption, thanks to inefficiency, and thanks to government kickback. Now, how many people are metered? Then we are depending on estimated billing. How many estates, how many places are overbuilt? Because those are issues that are there. We have states saying that, no, we are going to take over pricing. These are problems that are there. So we need to solve all these issues. Do we need more infrastructure? Definitely we do. Because if we say we need to build this economy, then our power must do at least times 100 of what we are generating right now. And we should be able to transmit and distribute them.
And I also...
And cheaper too.
Yes, that's where I'm going, because if we're going into the capital market, I think utility bills should remain relatively stable or low.
Going into the capital market?
Yes, cheaper too.
Logically?
Yes.
Okay. You're still watching Souk Business Landscape live on Souk News Television. We'll go on a break. When we return, we'll continue to stay with us.
Take Nigeria, because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market, or buying to keep for their stuff.
Within this side, let's also let citizens come and see something. This is Souk business landscape.
Known as the father of African literature, Chinua Achebe was born on the 16th of November 1930 in Ogidi, now Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. He was born to Isaiah Okafor Achebe, a teacher and an evangelist, and Janet Anenichi Iluegbunam, a vegetable farmer. Achebe has reshaped the global understanding of African identity through the power of storytelling. Raised during the twilight of colonial rule, Achebe's education was steeped in both Igbo tradition and the Western values of post-colonial Christianity. As a student at the University of Ibadan, he became fiercely critical of how Africa was portrayed in Western literature. Achebe believed that Western literature often painted Africa as a dark and primitive continent, but he sought to tell the African people's lens. In 1958, Achebe's groundbreaking novel Things Fall Apart shattered colonial narratives through the tragic story of Okonkwo, an Igbo warrior. Achebe illuminated the complexities of African culture and the devastating effects of European colonization. Things Fall Apart became more than just a novel. It became a symbol of African resistance against the oppressive narratives of colonialism. Achebe was not just a writer. He was a passionate advocate for African self-determination, and his political activism made him a critical voice in the post-colonial era. Even after a life marked by personal and political struggles, including a car accident that left him partially paralyzed, Achebe continued to inspire. He taught at Bard College and later Brown University, where his influence reached new generations of writers and thinkers. He was married to Christiana Chinwe Okoli and they had 4 children. Sadly, he died in March 2013 at the age of 82. Chinua Achebe's legacy endures in his novels, his essays, and in the countless voices of African writers who follow in his footsteps. He gave us a voice, a story, and a vision of Africa that is ours to share.
Interest in Nigeria's lithium reserves comes as countries worldwide scramble to secure supplies of the mineral which is essential for powering the green energy revolution. In this special report by Bayo Olaoye, the need to harness this resource for growth and development is examined with the evolution of electric vehicles and renewable energy storage systems. Lithium is a key component in the production of batteries for electric vehicles and renewable energy storage systems, and Nigeria is positioning itself to become a major player in the global lithium market. Nigeria's vast lithium reserves, valued over $34 billion, is no doubt attracting world attention, while lithium factories are springing up in different parts of Nigeria already. The attention of the international mining industry is also focused on lithium because it is critical raw material for the production of solar panels and electric vehicles. Analysts predict that global lithium market could grow robustly over the next decade, driven by the rapid adoption of electric vehicles and renewable energy technologies. Data from a Global Future Market Insight showed that the lithium mining industry has emerged as a cornerstone of the clean energy transition, driven by the skyrocketing accelerating demand for lithium-ion batteries. The surge in lithium demand is driven largely by the electric vehicles market, which accounted for over 70% of the global lithium consumption in 2024, according to an Iranian-based research firm. With countries such as the United States, China, and members of the European Union pushing for next zero emission by mid-century, lithium demand is expected to escalate further. The federal government, indeed, the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, should intensify efforts geared at renewing and resuscitating the viable lithium industry in the country to its full potential. As Nigeria diversifies its economy into other sectors, the lithium industry offers hope and expectation that this sector would earn more revenue for the country. Nigeria should not just watch with folded arms, but must strive with the political will to develop and strengthen the country's vast lithium reserves.
To first of all be rebranded.
He said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souk business landscape.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. It's still Souk Business Landscape, and we are reaching you live from our studios of Souk News Television. Welcome once again. Now we move on to our next story. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has urged the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority to tighten surveillance at the private airport wings, describing them as hubs for illicit financial activities. EFCC Chairman Ola Olukwede said the Commission will partner with the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority to address fraudulent ticketing, illicit flows, and non-remittance of charges by airlines, pledging to designate senior officers for joint investigations and intelligence sharing. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority's Director General, Captain Chris Najomo, welcomed the collaboration, admitting that the fraud within the aviation sector threatens safety oversight and investor confidence. He cited illegal charter operations, non-remittance of tickets, and cargo charges and manipulation of ticketing systems as major risks, stressing that EFCC's intervention is crucial to safeguard transparency and financial integrity in the sector. Chooks, is this long overdue?
Definitely. Before we start talking about private charter and all that, let's talk about government itself. Now we have Festus Keyamo, the dear Minister of Aviation. We've seen your antecedents, we've seen your handiwork, and want to say thank you, kudos. But now, hey, why do we have tickets, and on that particular ticket, the tax from different agencies is way more than 50% of the fare itself for flying?
Tickets?
Yes, on your ticket, on your normal flight ticket. The tax is more than 50% of the fare to fly domestically. Why? We need to look for how to cut this if we want to bring more business and people to use that particular sector and fly. We have to find a way of cutting those multiple. You pay tax for everything. I'm flying and the ticket is 150. If that 150 over 80,000 is just tax this, tax that. Tax is not the fare itself. So let's address that. Most people don't talk about it, but let's address that. Dear Minister, address it.
So to whose advantage is that?
I wish you could give me the answer.
To whose advantage is that? Because I'm looking at, is it to the flight airline, to the government? Of course, if it's a tax, it goes to the government. So, okay. Chooks.
I was waiting for you to answer.
Navigate back.
Whose advantage?
Well, it's long overdue because a whole lot happens in the airport, and we have customs, we have this, we have that, we have a whole lot of them there, and you would think with all these agencies there should be some form of discipline, some form of zero corruption. But it's long overdue. So I think the presence of EFCC there would bring some form of discipline, fear, so many illicit activities going on, especially in the private charter planes and all that. We've heard stories of how people have been able to bring in certain amount of money, ammunitions here and there, and no trace, no investigation was done to find out who brought in what, who owns the airline, who owns the aircraft, who owns the plane, you know. But I think with the EFCC coming into this, I see a whole lot of discoveries, but not just, it should not just stop at discoveries. It should yield investigations and prosecutions. That's where we're going. We're trying to see as much as possible how we can curtail illegal or undeclared currencies coming in, because that's the easiest way to bring in currencies.
Undeclared currencies.
Through this private
come
jet.
into Nigeria.
Do you understand? Someone, I mean, someone owns an airline or an aircraft, I mean, and he's able to bring in something. So, and again, it says in that they are supposed to declare, they are supposed to remit 5% of whatever of the ticketing, and NCAA, the Nigerian Civil Authority, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority rather, have been talking about this non-remittance. So I hope that this would also take care of that. I hope it will not
laying
cause
allegations against the airlines.
Yes, I hope it will not cause friction, because we still have to look at friction. EFCC coming in, you know, EFCC seems to be this
5% remittance to the government, not to EFCC.
Yes, that's what NCA has been complaining about, that this remittance has not been made or done 100%. So with the EFCC coming in, I hope that books will be opened. I hope that every other thing would come into place. Like I was saying earlier on, friction. I hope there will be no inter-agency friction, because EFCC coming in, you know, they operate with so much, let me put it mildly, independence of any other agency, and sometimes they go overboard. So I hope there will be no friction with the customs, the immigrations, even with the civil authority. I hope there will be this synergy, because we are all working together towards one goal: zero corruption in our aviation sector.
Okay, but Chooks, something he said, we've talked about digitizing the tax system for there to be, you know, for us to remove the middleman, where monies that are supposed to go to the government and to go to the company that the government had outsourced the responsibility of the job to, in trying to collect the tax, is done in a transparent way, where we do not have fiscal intermediaries. Why do we still experience that in this most sophisticated industry? Ticketing. And we're talking about, if, for example, 5% that you talk about, if it's to be remitted to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, or if it's to be remitted to the government, why, when immediately that money is paid, don't we have a system where the 5% does not go to the airline, it goes straight to the account, or a specific account of the government? Why don't we have that kind of system in place? If actually that is what is happening when we come to lack of remittance in ticketing.
Auditing.
Or why don't we have that?
Well, he just answered the auditing. For when you pay for your
same thing happened with the telcos and the USSD saga.
Now they take it from you directly.
Yes.
Even if you make a mistake and press something, whatever, they just take
because
your
they are
6
doing a complete dichotomy.
68 kobo.
Okay.
Now, when you pay for your ticket, it goes to the airline's account.
Straight.
Yes.
Everything.
It goes to them. So it's now the airline
to
and
remit.
and the other bodies that will look and say, okay, good, this is the ticketing that happened today, this week, 1 month, 1 year, and they should be able to calculate who gets what.
So if 10 people paid tickets and they declared 7 or 5.
No, you can't declare.
You can't declare because there's a system that government monitors.
There's a manifest. It's open to them there, so you can't hide that. Also, let's look at this EFCC coming on board. We have customs, we have immigration, we have airport authority, we have police.
Airport police.
Yes, we have normal police.
What are they doing?
We have air police, we have air force, we have the DSS.
Yes.
We have
all agencies are there.
We have NIA. They are all there in the airport. So the question is, what is EFCC coming to do? All this host of them.
I think immigration and customs are okay.
What is it that they should, why are they not performing? Now, what specific issue? Private charter services and money laundering. They know those that are involved. They know the airline or who owns those private flights, or they know. So why not go after them? Why not ask them? Why not? There's a court there. It's not far. They know these issues. So there are some particular trends that make the news, and I'm asking myself, do we really need to know this? If you want to work, you know how it happens. Go ahead and do your job. There is no way crime will be committed in that airport without the involvement of those in the airport. So they should just do their job.
Chooks, I've seen people who are going to board flights to travel out of this country. And when you are entering into that gate, who is flying? You are flying. Mm-hmm. You are coming to see them off. You can't go in. You can go in. Do you want him to go in? You know what to do.
Yeah, just shake.
You shake their hands with 1,000 naira or with 500
We
naira.
just shake hands. Nobody mentioned money here.
No, there's money
okay.
that goes through. Then you enter. You are flying out of your country as a Nigerian.
Okay.
You bought gari, you bought rice, you bought crayfish.
Okay.
You have dry kpala. Mm-hmm. You just name it in your bag and you are traveling with it. And some of these officers you just mentioned, they tell you to open the bag. You open the bag and they can see you as a Nigerian. There's egusi, there's the grounded pepper in there. And they see all this thing you want to eat when you were going to Oyibo land.
Okay.
And they're telling you, and it's okay, when you finish, it's okay. And they're telling you to pay money. And sometimes because you don't want to pay, you're telling them you've exhausted your cash. They bring it out POS. And
there's a periodic charge even, so if you don't have
they're telling you to
currency.
do a transfer.
That's just corruption. And most times they do that to people that they can intimidate. They don't do it to everybody.
Yes. So are you meant to pay for those?
You are not meant to pay for anything.
But somehow they come in a way. So these practices, they need to stop. Because they mentioned it. The name is there. I'm trying to recall.
When you say these practices need to stop, who is going to stop?
Because you counted all the agencies, all the security agencies that are packed there.
Who is going to stop it? Because while that thing is happening right there, there's a CCTV camera that captures every single thing. So they know what happens in that space.
Will it take a Festus Keyamo to come down to do that? Festus Keyamo is busy liaising with different countries on how we can have local and domestic airlines have access to Brazil, have access to fly to London, straight flight from Lagos or straight flight from any other federal or international airports in Nigeria. Is busy looking at bilateral relations and trying to rectify records. If Festus Keyamo will saddle with the response to come down there to do that job, he can't. He's busy.
It's not difficult. If you go through this kind of exercise and money is, 's, extorted from you, make a report, and when the report gets to the quarters, sack the person that is involved. To make it easy, sack the head of the person that is involved and leave the person that committed the crime. I promise you nobody will try it again.
You know, it's quite sad what goes on in the airport. I've had my own experiences, one or a couple of times, whereby, you know, you go in, you give your passport to the immigration officer. It seems nice. You think he's nice, but
he's nice.
He's going
nice.
nowhere. So
there are a few of them that do this, and these few are giving the whole lot in
part. So, I mean, he gives you, he's asking you, where are you going? And you feel like he's concerned. And at the end of the day, anything for us.
You are leaving us.
And because he's been nice to you, you feel somehow motivated.
Obligated.
To, you know, give him something. I mean, there was a time I wanted to check in. I did not know that you can actually show them your boarding
pass, a soft copy of your boarded pass from your phone.
So the person said I had to go and, you know, print it out. So I had to go and print out mine, and the person who was following me, and it's 1,000 naira per paper.
To print out.
You are in the airport. So everything is VIP treatment.
So it was when we were about to board the plane, and I saw people bringing out their phones and showing. And I was like,
why did it? Maybe you didn't want to grease his palm.
And, you know, right there and then you see a lot of officials, they will come to you, they will ask you so many things that you do not need. They will tell you need it. Because you're probably a novice, or you're just the first time of flying, you tend to be, they'll be like, you don't have all these things. Now, they have primed you. You've become their
you don't have
so
it.
You don't have
you
it.
Don't have a hard copy of your boarding pass.
You know, now, so what they will now do is, don't worry. You see that man standing over there, you go and meet him. Just explain,
explain yourself.
You know, so they are taking you away from probably the CCTV and all that. So you go and meet that person, and the person
he brings out a POS
and, you know,
to make a transfer.
I mean, there was a time I was going in through the metal detector, and one of them said I cannot, you know, take a bottle. I had a bottle of water. I said I cannot take.
You drop everything.
No,
but when I got to the waiting area,
there is water there.
There was water at the waiting
so you
area.
can drop yours and take water from
and buy another one. You know, so it's a whole lot. When we got to Ghana, there were less officials there. If I had to tell my brother, is this an airport? Because the crowd was few. But when we came back to Nigeria, in fact, they first tell you, if you're in Nigeria, please come to this side. If you are this, come to this side.
You mean in Ghana?
When we got to Ghana, the crowd was. When we came back to Nigeria, there's this.
No, I want to know where you were told that Nigerians should be on one side in Nigeria. Please.
So it's a whole lot. And when we came back to Nigeria, of course, we were wearing white native with the fila. So we were like, oh, these guys just the Barbariga boys.
Welcome
and you know, all. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but most of the immigration officers we met to me, they were like, what did you bring back for us? What are you? And I was like, I just went for a burial.
It's just a Nigerian thing. It's not as if they are trying to coerce you to do bad.
Yes,
they just
when I got to Ghana, do you understand? I was expecting them to do the same.
They were not friendly.
We love.
And when
you were dressed like a Nigerian, you're not dressed like a Ghanaian.
Yes.
So they wouldn't be asking you what did you.
When the guy gave me my passport, I stood there and I was looking at him.
Thinking he was going to ask you
and he said, something. You can go. That was when I realized that, you're in Ghana. And I left.
I think I have a problem with that.
You shouldn't have a problem with that.
Now, I have a problem with that.
The thing is here too. If somebody is talking to you and you want to communicate to the person, you communicate to the person. If you don't want to communicate to the person, say, hey, thank you, well done, and you walk and you go away. It's most times when they look at you and it's called taxing in quotes. So it's not. Don't take it personal.
All right. Well, we all have a responsibility, and the security agencies that have been saddled with the responsibility to police the airports need to. Sometimes I wanted to say they need to be policed, but the CCTVs are there to police them, and there are people behind the CCTV to see what's happening. So I think it's be a good thing to put our country in the right path if everyone does their job properly and let go of the temptation of trying to request or coerce people. Let's move on to our next story. The cost of compressed natural gas has surged from 213 naira to 450 naira per standard cubic meter after the government reduced subsidies, with trucks paying the full rate while buses and private cars enjoy partial relief at 380 naira. Officials from the presidential CNG initiative said the focus is now on expanding refueling stations to address supply shortages that push vehicle owners back to petrol. Retailers warned prices could climb to 500 naira or 600 naira to attract private investors, further narrowing the gap between CNG and petrol. Despite over 100,000 vehicles already converted and 265 centers created, users will spend up to 1.5 million naira on conversion, said the rising costs and queues rising, undermining confidence in the program launched to cushion the impact of petrol subsidy removal. Chooks.
President. Well, when the CNG initiative came, the narrative was there's an alternative to expensive petrol and diesel. So as we speak right now, that same alternative is becoming expensive. We now tend to ask ourselves the question, if this is supposed to be a palliative and a solution to a problem, why is it becoming a problem again on its own? If we all recount, we are still living in it. Just over 100,000 vehicles have been converted. We had issues of pump stations for this same CNG gas. We need a solution, and the solutions we profile shouldn't come back to haunt us. Left for me, this is just problematic. This is definitely problematic. If we call this a solution to expensive fuel, then why is it becoming expensive? Because we are not even sure anymore, because marketers are saying that the prices are still going to go up. So what exactly is the government trying to tell the people? If this solution is not the solution, where and what should we be doing?
Is inflation playing a role?
This is not an inflation thing, because we are not going through inflation right now. The naira is dropping. And in the last count, we had a whole lot of rhetorics and narrative coming from the CNG sector, the gas sector. More exploration, more companies, more money has been put in. More LNG and these other guys
wait for those investments to mature.
Yes, but our production level has not gone down. Although we are importing a whole lot, that still has not gone down. So why now, after barely a year plus of trying to get a solution, now we are turning that same solution again to a problem?
But do remember that Nigerians have a way of turning solutions that government made available to the people into...
It's not Nigerians that are increasing the price. This is government.
Okay, what about if we have, from just the logical perspective, that you have lots of cars in queue and they are waiting to chase a few CNG stations to get...
That is still not the problem. They are just over how many cars have been converted. Who is buying CNG vehicles in the first place? Let's ask ourselves those particular questions.
The people are being converted.
Who are buying CNG vehicles? The only people that are buying CNG vehicles are trucks. Major people that are buying brand new CNG vehicles are trucks. Okay, I saw a whole lot of Dangote trucks. They're all leaving the port this morning and heading to the refinery. So those are the people you see buying a lot of CNG vehicles. Okay, now for Dangote, he's also a producer, so hey, he will take care of his own issues. Now, this particular CNG and conversion and the whole entire initiative came as a succor to petrol that is expensive.
Petrol subsidy removal.
So how do you now explain it that that same solution you proffered is a problem?
Olumide.
It's quite amazing. The price of fuel jumped from 400 naira back then to 1,000, 1,005, and we're experiencing 800, 900. And what fuel used to be before is what CNG is now. It's alarming. It is very alarming. And I don't know how we're going to come out of this. Because like Chuk said, it was supposed to be a relief from removing fuel subsidy, that, oh, this is the alternative. It was supposed to be the future, greener energy or whatever we called it. It was supposed to be where we were headed. But now at 450, which we are not even sure it's going to remain there, it might go up.
To 600.
To 600. So is there any succor?
After 600 before the year runs.
Chuk said it's mostly trucks. I've only seen one bus, and that bus, it was a conversion. It was not as if, because it was under the seat. And I felt that looked dangerous. That's just my own opinion. So how many conversions are we seeing? How many stations do we have? Those are the things. And if we have shortages of stations and all that, and it's still jumping to, so who would want to patronize a CNG converted car or a brand new CNG powered car? Who would want that?
Okay, moving on to our next story. There's a CNG conversion center I saw when you are going to Judu Berger from the Lagos Island power to going to Judu Berger. It's at your left-hand side when you get to Estate bus stop. And they have their numbers boldly written out there. They sell lots of cars there, and they're telling you this is a conversion center. So,
did you get to ask how much the conversion cost?
No, I took their numbers.
Okay, just the numbers. Now that's about over ₦1 million for conversion alone, and you are converting based on the fact that, okay, good. In the long run, it's going to favor me because I'm going to buy CNG cheaper. But after you are done with the conversion, now this is hitting 450 naira.
And we're still going towards EV.
Not good. But hopefully we will get there. Our next story. Civil society groups have condemned the 44.51% year-on-year rise in cooking gas and prices, warning that it will worsen poverty, push households to firewood and charcoal, and undermine environmental sustainability. The National Bureau of Statistics reported that the average cost of refilling a 12.5 kg cylinder jumped from 14,261 naira in July to 2024 rather to 20,609 naira in same July 2025, far outpacing inflation. Action Aid Nigeria and Christian Aid Nigeria urged the government to urgently address the bottlenecks in the gas sector, ensure affordability through incentives or subsidies, and convene dialogue among regulators, investors, and operators. They stressed that without intervention, the hike will derail efforts to shift households from unsafe fuels to cleaner energy sources. We talked about charcoal the other day. You and Olumide were busy selling charcoal on this table.
No, I never sold charcoal.
Now look at what you cost.
I am not an
You sold charcoal on this table. Look at what's
I am not
happening.
an advocate of charcoal. Never have been. Never will be. Now, we are trying to preach the gospel of gas. We are trying to preach the gospel of clean energy. We are trying to preach the gospel of getting people to utilize gas. But at that same time, remember, it's a matter of cost, availability. The last time the pricing of gas, people were buying 12.5 kg at 19,000 naira. That's not fair. That's not fair. As a forward-thinking nation, and as a forward-thinking administration, I think we on this table will urge the president, everything is not about tax. You can't tax the people. You break them. Food already, the prices are not coming down as fast as we want it to be. Social amenities, they are not there yet. This is a work in progress. There should be ways of ameliorating the needs and the issues, I won't call them suffering, of the people. And one of them is cooking gas, transportation. Now, if we can't get this down, it's a coping. People can cope with other things that they are managing on a regular basis. But for gas and the price is not coming down, and we are also trying to advocate and tell people not to use coal, then we are seeing a problem because it's going to be difficult. If they can't afford it, they must resort to something.
Okay. I'm coming back to Chooks briefly. Olumide.
It's quite funny how the things we have in abundance have become the most expensive.
A luxury.
A luxury for us. It's quite sad. I'm looking at a situation whereby each house is connected to gas, and you do not have to take your gas cylinder to anywhere. You just turn on your gas cooker. And
a kind of national project, be huge.
You can do it.
It's done outside this country.
It's done outside this country. There was a water corporation.
It's done outside this country. You
have
a meter and you pay for what you consume.
So you pay for what you consume. We had water corporation and there was water running. So it's doable. But then again, it's quite interesting how many people even use gas cylinders? That's the first question. How many? Probably those who are a family, a nuclear family. Then 12.5 kg could last you 1.5 months to 2 months as a single person, whereby you probably eat.
As a single person?
Yes.
1.5 months. Are you cooking for parties in your house?
It can last you 2 months.
2 months.
Is that what he's trying to say?
2 months.
It should last you not like 2 months as a single person.
As a single person,
yes,
2 months.
2 months, yes.
Cooking 3 square meals every day.
Well, people still cook 3 square meals every day.
So if you are cooking 3 square meals, then what are you cooking? For a nuclear family.
You're looking at me.
For a nuclear family, whereby meals have to be prepared probably twice in the morning for the children and probably for the father and mother, and in the afternoon and the evening. 12.5 kg might take you 1.5 months or 1 month, depending on the consumption of it. So these are some of the things. That is why people resort to charcoal.
To charcoal.
Whereby they leave things to things you have to cook longer. They use the charcoal. So in some homes they have the gas, they have charcoal probably outside. So maybe if you want to cook your beans and whatnot,
you don't use the gas.
You don't use the gas. If you want to boil water,
you can use the gas.
You can use the charcoal. So if you want to cook any other thing, you can use the gas. So people are devising ways, and these manufacturers, I don't even know where these modernized stoves that use charcoal is called, whether it's China or something, but these guys, they've found a way to reduce the smoke. Smoke-free, you can regulate it, it's efficient, and it lasts.
Regulate charcoal?
There's a knob.
There's a knob in the charcoal.
In the stove, yes, but you can
stove.
increase it and decrease it.
Okay. Then that means when you do that, you allow more oxygen to come in to burn.
Because I'm looking at the safety of it. Because the people manufacturing and selling it want to preach safety.
Is it charcoal? Charcoal is safe.
Charcoal is safe.
I don't use it, but I know charcoal is safe.
It's the health risk involved.
Okay, quickly before we go, our time is almost up, but let's look at this story. The United Kingdom has committed $7.5 million through British international investment to agri-tech firm Baban Gona, targeting 140,000 smallholder farmers in northern Nigeria by 2029. The debt investment will expand access to credit, quality inputs, training, and markets while addressing low yields and climate risks such as flooding and drought. UK officials said that the initiative aligns with Nigeria's agricultural priorities and bilateral trade agreement signed in 2024. Babangona's AI-driven platform will deliver end-to-end services from climate-smart training to post-harvest storage and market linkages aiming to boost food security. We're still talking about food security, Chooks, as we round up. Your take on this?
Okay. Now, everyone out there, we see Nigeria as a good ground for investment and money. I just hope this is direct, because we need to still look at this and make sure this is not a loan.
140,000. 140,000.
I saw debt somewhere.
7.5.
I hope this is not a loan. Now,
$1 million.
And also for this project, I'm seeing a whole lot of infrastructure, AI-driven technology to do this. What exactly is the farmer getting? Well, this is what concerns me. What exactly is the farmer getting? Is he getting access to education? Is he getting access to better extension workers? Is he getting access to money to increase his plantation. I am not that particular about improved seedlings. No, I'm not particular. That particular chain of thought is not coming close to me at all. The farmer has his seeds that he's been planting before. He has the stems he's been planting before. Let him work on that particular one. For better yields, let's take care of the ground and the land better.
And open up the market, access for markets to the farmers.
I'm not a proponent of access of market to the farmer. I don't. Rather, I will propose government having boards that will buy off the farmer.
That's another way of having access.
Yes, let government worry about access to the farmer. Let the farmer know that when I'm done, my maize is going to be bought by the local government at a price that is good for me.
And I don't want to lose anything, Olumide.
It's a very good one, but just like Chuk said, I hope it's not alone. I hope because sometimes we see these things as free money. I hope it will go into the right hands that actually need it. Implementation, monitoring to see the outcome is what we should be focused on. We need to focus a whole lot on implementing, making sure that it goes to the right person. Is it going to come through the state government, to the local government, to the farmers, or is it just going to come direct from the federal government and some people are just going to come out and say, oh, I'm a farmer, I'm this, I'm that, and you know what? No, we've seen this thing happen so many times. So implementation, monitoring, close monitoring, transparency. I keep hammering on this. Transparency is what matters. Let's see how it trickles down to the farmer. What is the farmer getting at the end of the day? Is he getting tractors? Is he getting fertilizers? What is he getting at the end of the day? So it's not just, oh, British is coming in, or the Britons are coming in, they are giving us this, that. Because they are also looking. They would also monitor whether we monitor ourselves or not. They would monitor. They would know where this thing is going to, and they would want to see their result. Okay. So that's basically what I...
So I want to actually divide $7 million times 100 and divide 140,000 farmers, and probably there's going to be and that's 50.
You say it like it's coming straight into their...
Yes, I'm actually going to, administrative costs.
And you remember, we've discussed something about this before, where you said that each farmer should go to the local government and register.
Okay, so I was actually preferring an idea where the farmers are known by the government at the ebb of society.
The farmers
so that
are
any
known.
free...
There is nothing free.
No, what I mean free. Any form of intervention that is coming from the incentive that is coming from either the federal, the state, or the local government, they know the farmers directly without working through intermediaries.
The farmers are known, Priye.
Okay, the farmers are known. And just the way you know, Souk News Television and Souk Business Landscape as a daily, weekly program that comes up in your face every morning, 8 a.m. And this is the right place for us to draw the curtain. Thanks for knowing us. Please continue to know us. My name is Oyim Priye Krumale. Many thanks for watching. Please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souk News TV. We really hope you had a good time listening to our analysis this morning on business, economy, and development. Join us again another time. But before then, do stay tuned because we're coming back again for Just Africa. Many thanks for watching.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you be part of this program. Remember, this is Nigeria. There is no place like home. No matter where you jackpot to, you always come back. So let's build the country together for us here and for you out there. Let's do this again tomorrow.
It's been a pleasure staying with us. Let's continue to have that mindset. Rebranding Nigeria starts from the mind. So if we have that mindset that, yes, I am first in Nigeria, and it's not what my country can do for me, but what I can do for my country. That's the mindset we should all have. I think that's one of the ways we can go about bringing the future that we all want for ourselves and our children. I'm Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff.
Within this side, let's also let citizens promise, see something. This is soup business land.
Nigerian National Medicine Development Agency, NNMDA, was created in 1997 and backed by Act 2019 to enable the federal government of Nigeria through Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation actualize its critical and strategic mandates to research, develop, document, preserve, conserve, and promote Nigeria's natural medicine, defined as indigenous medicine. 4 Director Generals had steered the affairs of the agency since its creation 28 years ago. A new vista, however, opened in the history of the existence of the agency when Martins Emeje, a distinguished pharmacist and professor of nanotechnology, was appointed as the 5th Director General and Chief Executive Officer in May 2023. Before taking on the mantle of leadership at the NNMDA, Professor Martins Emeje was the Chair R&D at the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, with many feats on drug formulation and R&D results to his credit.
I deliberately applied for this job. There was advertisement. I applied. I wrote the exam. It was an online exam. Nobody saw anybody. And 1 hour exam online. When you submit your answer sheet, you have a copy of the answer sheet. So I have the copy of the answer that I submitted online that day. And that is my manifesto. So every month, I look at the answers that I submitted, and it guides me in the work that I do. As a researcher and proudly the first and only research fellow in Nigeria who is heading a research institute, I know exactly the problems of R&D in Nigeria, because nobody in Nigeria has or is currently heading a research institute, and he went through the rank and file from being a trainee researcher to an intern researcher, an NYSC researcher, and then a research professor. This is the background that I have.
Call him a round peg in a round hole, and you won't be wrong, as he hit the ground running, leaving a lot of innovations on his trail, achieving great strides in the areas of education, agriculture, and health, thereby raising the bar in R&D in natural medicine for the agency. From May 2023, when he was appointed, within just a few months, 4 oral solid dosage formulation products were unveiled.
My greatest moment actually happened on 8th of March 2024, when the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche Naji, came to Lagos in the campus of NNMDA here to launch 4 oral solid dosage forms. It was not just the first time it was happening in NNMDA, the very first time it was happening in Nigeria. We decided that we will go for education as a major target, as a major KPI. And we went for it aggressively and got accreditation to start a 2-year national diploma in natural medicine. So this agency, for the first time in Nigeria, we now have a school of natural medicine. It's never been heard before. It happened in this administration within these 2 years. Within these 2 years too, because the country saw that we had made explosive advancement in this area, we got upgraded to what we call an awarding body for national skills acquisition in traditional medicine. One of the best medicinal gardens that you can find in Africa right now is in this country, owned by the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, and we did this these 2 years. In fact, two of our products that is waiting for Mr. President launch was we got our raw materials from our Nasarawa State Farm in Karo. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world. Cassava. The only country that competes with Nigeria is Brazil. Yet, Nigeria does not have value-added cassava products. Yet, Nigeria imports starch to make pharmaceutical products. We made a presentation to the National Assembly, and the Senate of our National Assembly supported us. So we went into development of pharmaceutical grade starch. Today, we have pharmaceutical grade starch. In health itself, we have developed and submitted to NAFDAC about 23 different products. 23. And they are all at advanced stage of NAFDAC's regulatory assessment at this point. Now, 3 of such products plus 5 of what we did the previous years is available, and people, because we are a research institution not capacitated or competent by reason of mandate and skilling to do marketing, we do proof of concept, and we wait for entrepreneurs of pharmaceutical industries, nutraceutical industries, food industries to come take them to the market, right? But we also owe, because, like I said, the huge component of the Renewed Hope agenda is that people should be attended to, so that they know that they cannot lose their hope completely in their country. So in this environment, anybody who wants drug for hypertension, for malaria, for erectile dysfunction, for arthritis, for diabetes, for hepatitis, for about at least 8 different disease areas, they come to our pharmacy here to get the drugs.
The past 2 years, under the leadership of Professor Martins Emeje, has seen human capacity development like never before. a development that propelled the agency's researchers into breaking new ground.
This agency had never, in its almost 30 years of existence, had never participated in any local conference where researchers went with work they did in their own laboratory to go make competitive presentation. In our maiden outing, in these 2 years, we won 2 awards. We went out for the first time and we got 2 awards. We took first position and we took third position. That is gold and bronze. When I came, I met researchers that have been here working for 15 years but with 1 degree. And I told them, you can't be a researcher with 1 degree. So I embarked on rigorous and aggressive drive to partner and collaborate with investors. So we went into that. Today, as I'm talking to you, we have at least 13 researchers and of the agency that are doing different postgraduate studies in different universities in Nigeria. I have a staff that was in Zimbabwe for 6 months. Now he has a master's in intellectual property. At least 7 of my staff have gone to India.
Quality assurance has been one of the top priorities of the NNMDA Director General, and the accreditation of the agency's laboratory and product development unit for pharmacy internship program by the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria a year ago. Under the watch of Professor Martins Emeje, the agency recently graduated its pioneer pharmacy interns.
I went into nanotechnology or nanosciences after PhD, and I had to go out of the country to train in this area for more than 4 years. So it's an area that I'm keen about. I'm one of the first people, if not the first, in Nigeria to have put in practice nanotechnology. What it has done to me as someone who studied Western pharmacy, which is more like macro study, it is that it has taught me how to manage resources, no matter how simple.
The last 2 years has seen NNMDA signing important memoranda of understanding with reputable academic institutions and other critical stakeholders in the areas of training and laboratory services to Nigerian universities. As part of its advocacy and public enlightenment drive, the agency brought together critical stakeholders in the nation's natural medicine space for a national dialogue on rethinking natural medicine aimed at galvanizing the needed support and political will.
I want the president of Nigeria to just be coming on television and saying that people, natural medicine, no other thing. Natural medicine, let's do our own. Let's do our own. Let him just be saying it. Anytime he's talking to press, let him say it. Because once people know that this is where the president is, this is where his mind is, this is what his body language is, they will start investing in natural medicine.
A turning point for the agency was the resolution of the National Assembly on Natural Medicine Gazette. The visit by the chairman, House Committee on Legislative Compliance, was a further demonstration of the renewed impetus.
We cannot have 160 million people subscribing to something, and then the remaining 40 million people, you now want to say that foreign medicine, what you call allopathic medicine, that is the superior to our natural medicine. No, it's not. So when the House of Representatives passed that resolution, I told myself, I have now achieved. So what I was thinking would take me 4 years to achieve, actually, we got it done in 2 years. And it's one of the, so our target has actually increased. The best place to actually functionalize or operationalize Renew Hope agenda, Mr. President, is in the health sector. It's in the health sector. And I always tell people, 2 things that if you have security in it, then you are safe. food and medicine. Any intervention, any project that we do, that it is not about developing our own indigenous resources, is short-term. It's not sustainable. The only sustainable form of development is indigenous development. So anybody who wants to give me support now, I will just tell you what I want. For example, I want all my staff to live in this compound. If you go to other countries of the world, all these staff of the research institution, they live inside the compound.
Inspiring a new mindset among staff and attitude to work, for the NNMDA Director General, the task of achieving the mandate and the vision of the agency is work in progress.
Yes, it's a beautiful day. It's a fantastic day. It's an awesome day. And we are super, super excited. Guess what? It is the Femi Walsh Prestige Partnership that is being flagged off right here at the Federal Palace Hotel. Oh my God.
That thing sums awesomeness. We're being at a place where every conversation about Nigeria's independence happened. And then also thinking about royalty, you know, things that make us feel like we're kings and queens when we come into this place. I mean, I'm oozing at this point.
You know, talk about the scenery, the ambience, the rooms. This hotel is actually really, really good. And the fact that Femi Walsh is partnering with Federal Palace Hotel doesn't just give me the chills, like it makes me happy. Happy.
Well, we're going to be having exclusive events, coverage, and we're going to bring in our expertise to come and give them that edge amongst...
that finesse.
Taking the brand globally through our media. My God. It's not something you want to miss out on this journey that I just started. We're going places, sis.
The Federal Palace Hotel was established in 1960 and constructed by the A.G. Leventis Group. Perhaps one of the most notable thoughts about Federal Palace is that it was used as the venue for independence celebration of Nigeria in 1960. Over the years, the Federal Palace has now become a world-class ultra-modern facility with a touch of elegance. The hotel, which has been recognized nationally and internationally, has become a tourist attraction for many. Perhaps this is the reason Femi Walsh Group decided to partner with the Federal Palace by supporting the hotel with resources and equipment for coverage of all the hotel's events. The president and CEO of Femi Walsh Group, Victor Oluwafemi Walsh, accompanied by the Vice President, Idahosa Osamanze, paid a visit to the hotel during the exhibition of the popular Iriri Arts Gallery. It was a day of joy for each of the artists to see that the president of Femi Walsh Group was actually fascinated by their art pieces. Coordinator of the Arts Gallery also expressed his enthusiasm and joy, highlighting the exciting prospects and opportunities arising from the partnership.
Thank you so much, Suk TV, for coming over. It is about celebrating art and creativity we themed it Luxury and Legacies Exhibition. Luxury, as we all know, art is luxury, and the legacies that are left behind by artists are their crafts. So that is why we themed it Luxuries and Legacies Exhibition.
Ambassador Victor Walsh encouraged your artists while commending their creativity. The general manager, Herman Britt, was excited that the collaboration between Femi Walsh Group and the Federal Palace Hotel exchanged pleasantries with the president and told Souk News TV about his joy.
The energy is fantastic, and the support that you've given us is absolutely superb. So, yeah, watch this space, and your support is valued, and I love the partnership that you guys give us. So, looking forward to the journey with you guys.
Other members of the senior management of Federal Palace who were on hand to receive the ambassador and members of the Femi Walsh team include Temitokpe Ifiodun, HR Manager, Billy Uguechi, Events and Banqueting Manager, Chef Chris Onyanu, the Executive Chef of Federal Palace, Oluwatoyin Sulaiman, Housekeeping Manager, Dr. Arogundade, Digital Sales Executive. Each of this senior management staff shared their feelings about the collaboration.
We're actually so excited about this partnership with Souk News. It's going to, be beneficial for both Federal Palace Hotel and Souk News. And we know that all our new offerings will be extended to the larger world. We are actually doing things differently now. Federal Palace is actually doing a lot of things differently now. Our staff are ready to give the best of the best services to our guests.
To cover our events and take care of Federal Palace in terms of media and all that.
The Femi Walsh Group, consisting of all the different subsidiaries like Souk News TV, the ALFM, Novacraft, and the machinery, look forward to doing great things with Federal Palace Hotel as we kick off the Prestige Partnership.
We're going places, and yes, with Femi Walsh Prestige Partnership, what we want to do is make sure that we're giving the clients of Federal Palace the best of the best of the very best in terms of coverage, streaming, videography, photography. So if you have a wedding ceremony coming up, you got the birthday party coming up, whatever you have coming up, all you got to do is make sure you contact Femi Walsh, because we give you the best of the best of the very, very best.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Keep watching.
My name is Uyai. I'm a textured artist, and keep watching Souk News.
My name is Alexander Beja, and keep watching Souk News.
Karim Joseph Aramide is my name. I'm a visual artist, and I'm going to tell you this: keep watching Souk.
Hello, I'm Billy Macaulay Oguchi of Federal Palace Hotel. I'm the Banqueting and Events Manager. Keep watching Souk News.
I'm Temitokpe Ifidon, HR Manager of Federal Palace Hotel. Keep watching Souk News.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekbetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with the Daily Service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as Executive Governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souk Enlightenment.
Well, thank you once again for inviting me over. What would I say? Just doing a lot of wonderful things all over the world, working towards development of humanity in the areas of most especially sports development, football management, football administration, and other businesses I'm involved in. So that's what I've been up to. Well, basically, the National Sports Commission is there to ensure that sports development is put in a proper perspective. There are a lot of papers, a lot of policy papers, a lot of things that have been put in place. So they need to go into it, look at it, and structure something positive out for the development of sports in the country. I'm sure they have all what it takes to do it, and the zeal and the power to go ahead and put those things in place. So that's basically what they need to do. How the implementation is key. And I know, well, one way or the other, they should have the wherewithal to do it. So I wish them all the best. Well, you see, I don't like criticizing. I think I've gone away from areas of criticizing, but the standard of the league is very poor, and they have to put all efforts together to improve on the league. Also, the technicalities of the game, the manpower. We have to, we're still doing what we practiced 15 to 10 years ago, so it's not changed. So all those things have to change. We have to go away from the mediocre ways of running the game and put in more investment in development of the game itself. In the clubs have to be, it's so sad that we in Nigeria prefer to watch the Premier League compared to the Nigerian Premier League. It's a sad story. I remember 40 years ago, you could go to the stadium and watch our local, amateur league, and there were standards. So there's no reason why we can't bring that back. It's the wherewithal, the willpower to do it, and the stem from, having to go away from the area of mediocrity, where we bring in professionalism. We have the people that can do it, without any doubt. But for the system to allow them come in and do those things is another question. How that is going to be done, we've talked about it for many years, but nothing has been done about it. I pray and I hope someday they'll put up the proper perspective and the willpower to do those things. When it comes to grassroots football, we really have to start with kids from a very early age. We must have we have to start with them from age 5 to 16, to 18, to 20. So you have to have a sequence, a system where you build around from the very younger ones, and you have a uniform structure. Number one, we have to identify the kind of football we want to play in Nigeria, our type of flow, our ethos, what we want to play. And then we can now imbibe that, put it in our kids from a very early age. So from age 5, you go under 5 to under 8, under 8 to under 12, under 12 to under 16, under 16 to under 18. You have those structures in place. And it's spread around the nation. Now, where it's not the under 5 or under 18 where you put a 20-year-old or 25-year-old. You have to have a system where those kids are registered and we can monitor them from a very early age. You understand me? Where we don't cheat, where we bring in the right age and we train them to perform at different age group levels. And going into from there and then going into the national sides, so we can start playing the under 10, under 15, or under 16, under 18. You understand me? So those structures have to be in place, which we don't have today. There must be uniformity. You understand? So if we can do that in the future, we will progress. But there must be a system in place. We must have coaches that have been trained to work with the kids from that very early age. And those coaches are trained within the system, within the Nigerian Football Federation, and then they're sent out to work with those children all over the nation. The football academies we have today are only out to sell players. You understand me? So what I'm saying here is where we have, I'm not saying academies shouldn't sell players or not. Those players in the academies, if we have uniformity, should be playing in the league. And then we must have a cap where we say, look, until you're a certain age, you can't leave the country. You must play in that league because we've invested in you. We've invested in those kids. So maybe they will have to play till they're 20 or 18 or 19, where they can now go out, you understand, to play abroad. But there must be a structure in place, and there must be laws guiding it. That's the only way we can excel. It also goes to it also goes back to what I've been saying. The girls, the female team in Nigeria today, I believe the girls, I call them girls or ladies, are the ones that will ever win the World Cup first. They got the capacity, they got the women football, they can win the World Cup. They've got what it takes. But then it now goes back to our attitude and the corruption in the system. You understand me? If you allow the other girls from a very early age develop, and you have the same system I'm talking about, that cap of under 5, under 8, under 10, and you structure and you do it continuously in uniformity, we will be world beaters. We will win the World Cup at any given time because the women have got the grit. They pick up very faster than our men. They tap the balls. They are more technically better, within that range. So, but it's for us to develop those things and to take away corruption. First, when we talk about indigenous coaches, what coaches do we have? You see, if you don't have a competitive league, a highly professional league, how do you want to get good coaches? You can't get good coaches. The coaches, it's not that we don't have the capacity to build good coaches. We have a lot of talents in this country that can be world beaters, that could be top coaches. I talk to young stars. Young stars will talk to you about the technicality of the game. You know, they're very bright. Even my son, when he talks to me about football, I think he knows the game better than I do today. The technicalities of the game, you understand me? The formations, how players play, back and forth. It's because you've given them the exposure. And we need to give our young stars that exposure. We need to develop them. That's what we're not doing. We have to invest in them. But for now, we have not done that. And what we're doing today is those bunch of coaches we have are not good enough to run the national team at that level of competition. I have one or two of them in America that are sound, for, you know, they're there. But how many of them can you bring into the system? You understand me? Our local coaches, we need
National Institute of Sports.
Now, please, let's forget about the National Institute of Sports. That I use a word has been alamalized. That's a very poor system. You know, it has nothing. We have nothing there. I'm serious. I'm not running anything. Our National Sports Institute is a disgrace. So we shouldn't be talking about that. Yeah. If you want to talk about a National Sports Institute, then you go to Australia and other countries and you see what it is. You see the standards. We don't have those things. Ours is archaic.
Is it beyond redemption?
There's nothing beyond redemption. It can be, you know, we can work on it. We can develop it. We just have a time frame, work around it. See, there's nothing we cannot do in this country. We got everything possible to do it. It's the wherewithal. Do we have that mindset to do it? Are we ready for it? Those are the things we have to look at. Or do we want to continue with our mediocrity? But really, sincerely speaking, there's nothing impossible. We can do anything here. We've got great youngsters. We have to remove all this old, archaic way of thinking and then bring in a more modern, professional approach to things. So that's it. The media is one of the most corrupt anyway, I'm sorry to say. The sports media and all that, the sports writers. I worked in the system, I know how corrupt they are. Majority of them are corrupt. I'm saying it. They can challenge me, but it's the truth. Until we get rid of all those things, where our boys go and collect envelopes to write or favor people, we're not going to get anywhere. I'm not saying the press in general, but the sports writers, I disgrace. See, the supporters club is not going to do anything or develop football. This is just to travel, get things. Oh, it's fine. It's good to have fans. But what has that got to do with football development? Nothing. Supporters club is not going to do anything. They're playing their own politics. You understand me? They want to travel. That's it. Travel around the world, do things. But is that part of football development? That is not football development. So let's leave that aside. We're talking about the professional, the technicalities, what it takes to develop national sides or a proper league. Then the supporters club has nothing to do with it. Do you see, how many people do you see at stadiums in Nigeria instead of watching football? Scanty, there's nothing. It's not like in the days where in the 70s or even in the 60s, if you're going to play a game at 4:45 in the afternoon, the stadium is full to capacity. At 11 in the morning. You don't have that anymore. So what are we talking about supporters club?
Is there a way we can bring that back, that passion?
Yeah, if you build a league that, you know, has the quality, the professionalism, and all the standards are put in place, then you can bring them back. Then you can bring the crowd back. I think it's very unfair to call it lesser sports. All sports are tops. Yeah, it's very wrong to call them. They're top sports. Basketball is tops. Athletics is tops. It's very wrong. I think it's very unfair to call them lesser sports. See, bottom line is the politics, the greed, you understand me? We have top, talented basketball players all over the world. We could put them together. It's all about management. It's all about commitment. But you don't have those things there. It's about myself. It's all about self-aggrandization. What do I get from this? It's not about what do we do to build these teams or these athletes to be world beaters. Do you understand me? So you're not going to get anything out of it. You will never. It's the bottom line. You'll never ever get anything. So you'll always have factions. You'll always have people fighting. Why do you fight for what? If you can collectively come together to build a system, a structure for basketball, for example, because the girls are tops, they can perform, they can do far better than where they are today. I always tell you, the female teams in Nigeria will always excel in athletics, in basketball and all that. Our male are a bit arrogant and clunky in doing things, but the ladies are always more committed. They've got what it takes, but they need good management. It's not that the men can't do it too, the men can do it, but it all also evolves with good management. Taking away politics, taking away greed, not a situation where a coach is collecting money from a player to put a player in the team, or a member of the football association fighting for their children or family to play in the national team, or a member of government is asking someone to put their kids in the team. No, that's not it. Where is the nationalism? Where's that patriotism? Patriotism. I don't care where you come from. If you're good, you're good. If you're better than my own people, then my own people have to sit down and you let them, the others that can perform. Where would you have quota system in football? Where's that done? Do you understand me? So we have a lot of issues we need to resolve. Well, what do you expect? The athletes themselves are far more successful and far more exposed than the administrators. So the administrators obviously are always envious of those ones, and they make life difficult for them. Do you understand me? Where you have people that are not competent enough running a system, people that are not exposed, that haven't got the professional ethics to run the thing, that's what you get. Then the greed aspect, which is a standard norm for us in this country. Greed. Where people believe athletics is only, you being a member of the Athletics Federation is all about traveling. You understand me? He wants to travel, she wants to travel. She wants to be in the, what do you call them, in the group of people that are going away. See, you can never get no results. They're all fighting to get something. And then they don't care about the athletes. They want to be in a delegation that is going to travel. Do you understand me? So that's basically it. They're not interested in the development. They haven't got the zeal. You understand me, sir? So once you don't have those things, you can never get anything right. Yeah, the private sector is one. The cricket has more because, government involvement is not as, I think you have more of the private people, interested private people that have gone to schools, top schools, that played cricket in those days. Those are the ones that are promoting cricket. So you're going to get results, you understand me? Because they're far more exposed, they understand what it takes. So the commitment is there. They're using their own funds to push, to develop the game. You understand sport. So that's why cricket is picking up. Oh, you mean the National Sports Festival? I think for now, we don't really need that. We need to do more with the private sector. I think the new chairman of the National Sports Commission, he seems he's an exposed person. I think he's got to sit right and see how he can profile solutions to these things and change the course of. He's got what it takes to do it. He just has to come out of that shell, come out of that darkness. I'll call it darkness, and come into real light. I think he has it. But National Sports Festival, I don't think we're ready. We really need that now. We need to do more with youth development programs. You see, a National Sports Festival in those days was more interesting because you had more schools, inter-school sports. And that is where the best athletes came from. We don't have that anymore. So first we need to build the school sports, schools, athletics and all that, build it to a standard and then go into national sports festivals. For now, we don't have that. And I think the National Sports Commission has to look into that, how they can work with the Ministry of Education and see how they can build that again. School sports. That's where you get the best. In those days, the best athletes. We knew those that will run, that will actually participate and run for Nigeria. We knew the ones that will do high jump, long jump, triple jump. We knew them, both female and females, from secondary school. You don't have that anymore. So where do they come from? Nowhere. So you have, like in those days where some schools will go and get mercenaries, pay for them to come and run. That's what you get today. So it's corrupt. Now, the Sports Commission has to work on that. It has to change it. I know they can do it. They just need to sit back and look at how they will change the course of things. If you want to unite Nigeria with good sports, then you got to give them good results, good teams that can perform. You understand me? In the process of winning competitions, or they have a team, or they have teams that have got the quality that can move the nation, then you unite. Everybody wants to watch good football. Everybody wants to see a great athlete running. You want to see a good high jumper performing at the best. When you see that, it draws everybody together. If you have a good national team that plays excellent football, look, in Nigeria, when you look at our team, the 94 team, we were the 5th in world ranking. You were talking about ranking, which I don't really. When we really had a good ranking, we were number 5 in the world. The 94 team was number 5. The World Cup 94, we were rated as the 5th best team in the world. And you look at the style of football we played. We developed our own style of football, took it to the world, and we were respected. We don't do that anymore. We have to have an identity. You understand me? Our footballers are not the best. We're good, we're very athletic, we're strong, we're physical. You understand me? We've got to build that kind of football. We are not as technical when it comes to techniques and all that, like the Europeans. But when it comes to the physicality, you understand me, we're better. When it comes to the physicality, the mental strength, we have it. So you have to build around that. You're putting a bit of technical things there, but the main issues is we got to have the muscles, the strength to run any team down. That's the kind of football we should play. We're playing lazy football now. We have to play what we played then, where we run any team down. We can play 2-3 hours non-stop. We never get tired. We don't have that anymore. We can't even string passes. We can't play 2 against 4, 3 against. We don't do it anymore. We're lazy. It's not only the coach. Yeah, the coach and then the association, the federation. They don't have a vision. You have to know what you want to present to the world. It's like any other top team in the world. A Real Madrid, Barcelona, they have their own type ethos, their own style of football. And this is what they sell to the world. We don't even know what we're doing. We have to have what it takes to sell to the world. This is what we want to do. This is how we can perform. This is a style we're going to play. And that style we believe in. And then we build the youngsters from very early to play that same type of football. We have the manual that we can work with. Uniformity. Simple. That's it. it's individual and the corporate, organizations. They're not doing enough. Everything can't just be government. Today, you don't even have Nigerians pumping money into sports like they used to do that. I'm sorry, I don't want to digress, and I don't want to say what my father did. I'm not promoting my family, but I knew how he invested millions of dollars building the national teams. Yeah, his personal funds. You don't get those things anymore. Do you understand me? You have to see the '94 team was done outside the outside government. It was done by individuals. That was why we were successful. But you don't have those things anymore. You just have a bunch of greedy leaders and greedy individuals or corporate bodies. It's all about them and their family. They're not giving it. So how do you want the kids to perform? How? All the kids are out there wasting away. We've got great talents in this country, but they're wasting away because we're not helping out. We're not encouraging them. We're not building structures, institutions where you can build those, you can develop those kids. Yeah. So they're on the street doing yahoo, doing all sorts of stupid things. Yeah. Because there's no competition. There's nothing to draw their attention. You understand me? Until we do those things, we can never ever change. We can't get it right. Yeah, well, for me, I don't see any difference for me, whatever you give to the female teams, you also give to the senior, to men. Because our team, our female team, at the world ranking today, we're tops, we're recognized. So you have to also allow, but for men, anywhere in the world, men always have an advantage. But doesn't mean the disparity should be so much. You give the ladies, I remember, when I was the FA chairman, I remember once the female team was in camp, and we went there in Ota. When we found out what they were earning, it was disgraceful. They couldn't even buy their, I'm sorry to say that, what you ladies use, your pads, you couldn't even buy it. I had to tell them, these are women. Why are you treating them like rubbish? They have to be looked after. Because they're going to need more of those systems because you have more wastage than men. Don't let me go into what I'm saying, but I understand. So the women have to be well taken care of. Yeah, simple. So you've got to give them what it takes. To strike a balance. You have to strike a balance. Solutions I'm going to give you, I can't give you a straight off head, right? But really, since first, we have to get rid of greed. We have to go away from all this religiosity in the system because religion has destroyed the fabrics of a nation. See, being a Christian or a Muslim or whatever doesn't mean you've got to cheat people or lie to people or not show love, you understand me? Or the religious, when I come to religion, the churches, the institutions we have today are not developing education. There must be uniformity in education. They're not developing education. Education is key. But you know what we have today? Half-baked educated youths. Half-baked. And that's the worst you can ever have. And that is key in anything we do. First, to have good leaders, well-structured. In Germany, in Europe, and now, the kids that go to the best universities, some kids are developed, they're built up to be top civil servants. So they go to Oxford, they go to Cambridge, they become top politicians. Then you have the ones that will become big and top engineers and now they go to certain universities. All those things are structured. We had it before in the past. It's gone. We've got to find the way. It's not about just giving licenses to universities. But for me, the foundation, education, is very key. When you have half-baked youths and you have half-baked leaders that haven't got that structure in place, that proper education, they can never excel. What are you going to tell them? They will never get it right. So that's very key. Now, when you talk about policies, who are the ones that are going to put the policy papers together if they're half-baked? Because you need policy papers, you need to have a better understanding of your environment, of the society. You have to have a better understanding of how the society will grow. So if you don't have that in mind, you can never develop. So you need those things to make the nation change. I'm just giving it in a nutshell. Yeah, you need more commercial, you need more private sector funding, you need more sponsorship, and then, like I said, you need more training. You need to train your coaches. Our referees are the most Nigerian referees. You don't see. Do you see any referee participating in any African Nations Cup? No. Because, and you're telling me it's the best league. That's the most corrupt league in the world. Because our coaches are not even, our referees are not even allowed. They never invite them for any Nations Cup. So what are we talking about? What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Every match in the MPFL, most of the games, all home teams win. You don't see away teams coming to win. So are you telling me that's a balanced league? It's not a balanced league. It's a corrupt league. So that has to change first. When that changes, you understand me? And also, then other things will follow. You see, you have the National Olympic Committee that is run, by the private sector and government. Now you need to get the right people in the private sector to come in there to work with some people in government, people that have got the wherewithal, that got the financial muscle and the commitment to do those things. Not just people that are hustlers that just want to get something out of it. It's about people that want to give. That's what Olympics is all about. People that give, that are ready to give, to develop Olympians to be world beaters. People that truly want that mood, that soul of Olympics to excel. That's what we need. And that is what we have to work on. And that comes from leadership, that comes from the system, where you choose the right people that have got what it takes to build the Olympic team.
Well, thank you very much indeed. My name is Stephen Kola Balogun. I happen to be a lawyer, and should I call myself a pseudo-politician? Not quite a politician, but I've served in government before, and I'm delighted to be here. Well, thank you very much. Well, yes, is it my family or the wider family? I mean, like I said, I'm the son of Chief Dr. Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Like I said, he was a former politician, a frontline politician. He was the General Secretary of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, later National Council of Nigerian Citizens. He was the General Secretary of that party for about 8 years. From there, he was appointed by Zik to become a federal minister. He was initially a federal minister without portfolio. Consequently, after that, he became acting minister for labor, social services, and then he became Nigeria's first federal minister for information in 1956. He held that portfolio to 1958. Thereafter, he resigned from government. He had disagreement with the party. And Tafawa Balewa felt that he was a useful politician that could be sent to Ghana. And he went to Ghana to find out what was. Ghana was a bit ahead of us in terms of politics at the time. I think it's fair to say they got independence just before us. And Tafawa Balewa wanted someone to understudy to find out what we're doing. So he sent Kola Balogun there. Initially, he was the he was commissioner, and later, when we gained independence in 1960, he became High Commissioner. Shortly after that, when we became independent, he yearned to come home. He wanted to take part in the new political atmosphere at the time. He asked the Prime Minister to relieve him, to let him come back, and he did come back home. And immediately he took up the position of being chairman of the National Shipping Line. That was a position he held on to until the military struck in 1966. But even then, when the military did strike in 1966, he still continued. I think General Debayo of blessed memory invited him to join his cabinet, and he served as a commissioner for about 3 years or more. I think he was commissioner for health and was commissioner for education. Later, he also became chairman of the sketch group of companies as well. And that was about it. I think after his stint in government, he decided to go and do a PhD at the University of Ibadan. And then he went back into private legal practice. And then he started this agitation for the creation of Osun State. He and a few others set up the movement. He was the chairman of the movement. And then to the glory of God, in 1991, Osun State was created. And that's it.
Tell us about mommy.
Well, yes, my mother. Well, in those days, the women once were not so much in the forefront, But my mother has been my bedrock. She stood by me, and she has backed me in most of the things I've set out to do, And she's still alive. She's 89 this year, and she's still doing well, and she's still
and your wife
going
and
strong.
The kids?
Yes, my children. Yes, I have 3 girls, 3 daughters. My oldest is 31. She studied at King's College London. She did reasonably well. She got a 7th class upper. Proud of her. She's an art curator today. And I have twin girls as well who are also in university now, that they haven't graduated yet. One of I did. My father, Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Yes, he was in the first cabinet in the First Republic, the first ever cabinet Nigeria had, and he served as the Federal Minister of Information and Research. As a matter of fact, he happened to be Nigeria's first information minister. Later, T.O.S. Benson, of course, became the independent Nigeria's first information minister, but independent Nigeria. But Nigeria's first ever information minister happened to be Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. No, I didn't. I took an opposite route from my father. My father went into politics straight immediately after he finished his education, and then he now ventured into law a little bit later. I decided to look at things differently. I thought that after academics I should practice law a bit, and that's what I've been doing. But at some point, I think that was in about 2011, I was called upon to serve in the Osun State government as a commissioner, and I took up that opportunity, and I enjoyed myself. Well, I am in the sense that I'm 65 years old now, and I think it's fair to say that we belong to, well, I would say the first set, but one of those who benefited from Nigerian education. I schooled here. I went to secondary school in the West. I went to the University of Ife, went to the Nigerian Law School. And I think it's fair to say that all the schools at that time were of high quality, produced top quality students who went on to make names for themselves, not just here in Nigeria, but also abroad. I think we still do that now, even though the standard of education has dropped. The sad thing about it is that Nigeria could have been a lot better in terms of the potential, because Nigeria does have a lot of potential. We do have very brilliant young men and women, you know, and I just think that if we had invested more in education, that we could have, the sky would have been the limit, actually. Well, my take on this is that it's the system of law itself. As a young lawyer, I experienced a few challenges myself, and I think one of the obvious challenges is the appeal structure. It's too easy to appeal against judgments. At the same time, when you file actions in court, there are no penalties for costs. In other words, I can file a frivolous action. I could insult you, as an example, and then you could sue me, and I say to myself, well, I'm going to eke it out. I'm going to take it. You're going to have to take me all the way to the Supreme Court. That doesn't make sense. That's not fair. On the other hand, I could also file a frivolous application against you. And then filing a frivolous application, I could call you something you are not. I could defame you. And in so doing, you expect at least that once you prove your case, that I will be made to pay the penalties for filing frivolous applications. But that doesn't happen. And then, of course, the conditions of the judges. I mean, the judges are still writing longhand. They do trials, they sit there, they listen to witnesses, give evidence, and they have to write all these things down longhand. So there's so many challenges that has hampered the progress of law. And there hasn't been enough investment, I must say. Well, I agree with that, and I'm going to give an example as to how that I think we could possibly do that. Now, the Supreme Court hears everything. It's the final court in Nigeria, so they're going to hear issues related to criminal law, civil matters, constitutional matters, as you know, all these matters that's got to do with elections, so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, when we have an election cycle, the legal system slows down because the judges are hampered. They're too busy listening to the various appeals from the various states and the federal government to do with the elections. So as a consequence, the other matters to deal with shipping, banking, criminal law are put on the back burner. I think we need what you call a constitutional court, whereby which the judges in the Supreme Court are divided. So you have those judges whose responsibility it is entirely to deal with constitutional matters, and then you have another set whose duty will be to deal with shipping, banking, civil matters, criminal matters, and so on and so forth. So I believe it's high time Nigeria has a constitutional court to try and aid the Supreme Court with the workload they have, which is, quite frankly, quite a bit. Well, Nigerians, with respect, are very brilliant, very intelligent, and they are very aware. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a tailor, you're a driver, you're a lawyer, engineer, they are quite well informed. And the truth of the matter really is that this is the longest republic we've had. This republic started in 1999, and this is 2025, so 26 years. Nigeria's never had a republic this long. But the main flaw is the one you just mentioned. The fact that that constitution that was bequeathed to us by the military in 1999 was never really approved by the people. But that doesn't make sense, and that's unfair. In fairness, we ought to be able to look at the constitution, improve upon it, and put our own input into it. Now, there's a way around that, and I've always believed, many people oppose this, but I'm of the view that what Nigerians need to have is a referendum. Have a referendum to ask the Nigerian people whether they want to persist with the 1999 Constitution, or do they want to drop a new one? If the answer to that question is yes, we want to drop a new constitution, then that puts paid to the 1999 Constitution, and then you can now have a system, a constituent assembly, whatever the case may be, where people will sit around the table and fashion out a new constitution. If the people say no, that means they've indirectly approved the 1999 Constitution, and then we continue with it. But what we can't do is continue having this debate, these arguments as to whether the 1999 Constitution has been approved by Nigerians or not, because it has not been. So I think the way around that is to ask the Nigerian people through a referendum, asking them whether they want to persist with this Constitution. If they say no, then we have a new one. If they say yes, we continue with the old one. And that ends the debate. Every system has its merits. Every system has its advantages and disadvantages. To some extent, the presidential system of government has its advantage. It has the advantage in the sense that it has brought government nearer to the people. So the people of Osun, from where I'm from, for instance, now, have their own state. Same thing can be said, it's been replicated across the country. However, the drawbacks, the disadvantage is the fact that it's extremely expensive. Now, look at Nigeria, for instance, now. We have 36 state governments. So that means we have 36 governments in Nigeria. If you add the government of Abuja, if you add the federal government, that's 38. Now, each one of these governments have some form of legislature, judiciary, an executive as well, local government, civil service. It's too expensive. Look, in America, where we borrowed this system from, the states came together to form a union. This is totally different. We are doing it the opposite way. So we've had a structure that we are now going back. So at the end of the day, many of the state governments are still dependent on the federal government. And as a consequence, the kind of progress we ought to be making, we're not quite making it. So I personally, and this is a personal view because others would disagree, I would prefer that we reduce the size of government by having some kind of regional structure. And I believe that that will reduce the burden of governments. And if we can reduce the burdens of government, we can use this money to do many other things. And I also think it will also improve standards as well. Not just standards of government or parliamentary standards or whatever the case may be, but there'll be less people involved in the political system. And that would help us a great deal. Well, I think it's fair to say that since 1999, we haven't had any new state creation. I know there's been agitation for the creation of states, but there hasn't been any. The process for creating a state is quite cumbersome. It's not easy. I think it's in Section 8 and 9 of the Constitution. I don't think it's something we should be looking at. I think, like I said to you earlier, I think we should be trying to reduce the number of states, and I think some kind of regional structure whereby which we can monitor better what's going on rather than having more states. So I personally would not encourage the creation of more states, no. In the 1950s, we had 3 regions, if I'm correct. Those regions were the West, the East, and the North. We had the colony of Lagos, but if I'm right, I think it was the MacPherson Constitution, I think it is, I'm not too sure, that now put Lagos under the Western region. Now, when Lagos was placed under the Western region, lots of people were not happy about that. I remember my father was in the NCNC. The NCNC people were not particularly pleased. Neither were the NPC. So they felt that Lagos belonged to everybody. Like you said, lots of people from different walks of life, different tribes, different backgrounds, and all schooled. I mean, Zik schooled in Lagos. He went to MBHS. So it was the issue was sent to London to arbitrate. I think it was Oliver Littleton that arbitrated over the matter. And it was decided that Lagos should stand on its own, that Lagos should not be merged with any of the regions. And that was how Lagos was able to free itself from the shackles of the Western region. It's fair to say that the position of the NCNC was actually argued in London by my father. That's why I'm quite familiar with this. But talking about Lagos, when the military, after that, we had what you called a minister for Lagos. I think there was Ribadu, and I think there was one other person, but I think it was Yaradua, not the same Yaradua, but his father. And then later after that, when the military struck, they created the state of Lagos. So the issue of giving Lagos special status has more or less been taken over by events. Lagos is a state, and as a state, it's still home to different people with different backgrounds, from different tribes, and it's thriving. I think it's fair to say that Lagos is probably the most prosperous state in the country. And it's just a question of its continuing with good governance and improving the strides they have made. Once again, let's go back to the past. We had what we used to call the House of Chiefs, wasn't it? And in those House of Chiefs, many of the members of the House of Chiefs were people, were traditional rulers, chiefs from different backgrounds, and they had a say in the running of the affairs of state. It's like it was more or less akin to the House of Lords. So it wasn't necessarily the chamber whereby which the activities of day-to-day governance took place, but they could always refer issues to them. And I think that if we change our structure of governance, and if, that's a big if, then yes, we can have something like that. We can have a second chamber, which is more or less advisory in nature, similar to the House of Lords, whereby which we will have obas and chiefs and people of influence who will be able to advise government from day to day from the experiences and the way forward, but not necessarily binding. I think that's important. That decisions won't necessarily be binding on us, but at least they'll be able to share their views and experiences with the people. That's a big issue. I was commissioner for youth in Oshun about 10 years ago under Rauf Aregbesola, and it was an issue we took quite seriously. In Oshun State, we had quite a number of youths who are unemployed, and the governor thought, what can I possibly do to give them something to do, to keep them employed? So he created what we call the Osun State Youth Empowerment Scheme. Now, under the State Youth Empowerment Scheme, unemployed youths were given particular tasks in state. Help us sweep the roads. Some were part-time lecturers. Some were doing all sorts of things. They were given a stipend. It wasn't a full-blown salary. Or the salary, although the stipend was enough to keep them to be able to buy things, to be able to buy themselves drinks and food, and kept them occupied until they could find themselves a job. And I think the federal government could follow that kind of scheme, set up a youth empowerment scheme whereby which unemployed youths are given things to do. There's so many things that need to be done in Nigeria. There's so many gaps whereby which the youths can help do that. In the interim, while they find themselves something more gainful or something more permanent. So it's a question, it's for government to do. It's for government to think of a way of helping out the youths. And of course, there should be partnerships, a partnership between the government and private enterprise to try and encourage them to take on more of our youths, and not necessarily those who have schooled abroad, who they think are probably the best in terms of employment. No, we have many here who can do a good job as well. sustaining democracy is about discipline. It's about the people being disciplined. It's about those who rule us being disciplined. I started out by telling you that this is the longest government we've had. It's the longest republic we've had. We've had democracy now since 1999, 26 years. If you go back to the days of independence, there's been no republic that has been this long. So it shows that the people have embraced democracy. They've come to it's part of us now. They've come to enjoy it. Yes, there are hiccups in terms of the fact that we could do a lot better in terms of how we implement things. But in terms of the people yearning for democracy and imbibing it, I think we've done very well. And what we just need to do is just to try and perfect it. One of the ways, like I said much earlier, is to perhaps take a second look at the Constitution, see where areas where we can improve, and try and make people happy, and at the same time reduce the cost of governance. But I don't think democracy is going anywhere. I think it's here to stay.
Broad Street, situated in Lagos Island, is steeped in Nigerian history. Once the biggest financial hub of the country, it housed the headquarters of major banks, linked to CBN, the stock exchange, and the loads of lender companies. Broad Street is a historically significant street. It has played a central role in the development of Lagos and history, an important commercial and administrative center for the British colonial authorities. It was also a home to some of the city's earliest modern buildings. Broad Street was a residential area in the pre-colonial era. With the British came the Methodist Boys High School in 1878 and the Broad Street Prison in 1882, renamed Freedom Park. The General Hospital, which was a British military hospital, was built in 1893, being the first general hospital in Nigeria. The old British Secretariat building, which is now the Federal Ministry of Justice, was built in 1906. Broad Street has seen a full turn into modern commercial office blocks, complexes, skyscrapers, and markets from the outer marina through Akpombo, early into the Adeniji Adele Road. Broad Street is one of the busiest streets in Nigeria on weekdays, where commercial activities take place day and night. From modern buildings to ancient structures, this street gives one a raw dose of life in Lagos. Broad Street is often referred to as Lagos Financial District. It boasts a mix of architectural styles, reflecting its long history, colonial-era buildings, Victorian and Edwardian architectural features, alongside more modern skyscrapers and structures. Broad Street remains a vital, vibrant part of the Nigerian economy. Broad Street. Souk Enlightenment.
Anthony Onyemaechi Elumelu was born on the 22nd of March 1963 in Jos, North Central Nigeria, to Susanna Dominic Elumelu, originally from Delta State. Tony earned a degree in economics from Ambrose Ali University, where he laid the foundation for his future career, and then furthered his education at the University of Lagos, where he obtained a master's degree in economics. His academic journey also includes attending the Harvard Business School, where he completed the Owner of President Management program, equipping him with advanced business management skills. Tony currently serves as the chairman of Heirs Holdings, Transcorp, and United Bank for Africa, UBA, demonstrating his significant influence in the banking and investment sector. He founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation, which aims to empower African entrepreneurs through comprehensive training, mentorships, and funding opportunities. In addition to his professional achievements, he's also a family man, married to Dr. Adele Vivian Elumelu, and together they have 7 children. In 2020, his efforts were acknowledged when he was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world. Anthony Elumelu's net worth is estimated to be around $700 million, a testament to his successful ventures and strategic investments. Elumelu continues to be a driving force in the business world, advocating for sustainable economic growth and empowering the next generation of African entrepreneurs.
Hello and welcome to the Midday News on Sook News Television. I am Olumide Shukoya. Now let's begin with the day's top stories. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared that Nigeria no longer borrows from domestic banks following a strong revenue performance that surpassed the nation's target for the year. Speaking at the presidential villa during a meeting with Buhari organization, President Tinubu credited non-oil revenue growth to the fiscal milestone, noting that the target was achieved as early as August. He stressed that the economy was stabilizing and that reliance on local borrowing has ended. President Tinubu also unveiled a nationwide agricultural mechanization initiative designed to secure food sovereignty and reduce poverty. He explained that each region would host a mechanization center, ensuring access to modern farming equipment and driving higher productivity. According to him, defeating hunger through agricultural development is the fastest route to eliminating poverty in Nigeria. However, analysts remain cautious as Nigeria's debt burden continues to rise. The Debt Management Office reported that public debt climbed to 149.39 trillion naira by March 2025, with projections indicating it could reach 160.6 trillion naira by the year end. CSL stockbrokers warned that widening fiscal deficit may still compel the government to return to heavy borrowing despite current revenue gains and President Tinubu's confidence in non-oil sector. The federal government has signed a strategic partnership with Polaris Capital Limited to train, certify, and deploy 100,000 construction artisans across Nigeria. The memorandum of understanding was signed on September 2nd, 2025, which signals the official rollout of the National Artisan Skills Acquisition Program, an initiative designed to modernize the construction workforce and bridge critical skills gaps in the housing sector. Now, according to Housing and Urban Development Permanent Secretary Dr. Shuaib Belgure, the program will enhance technical capacity, create sustainable jobs, and promote inclusivity by engaging women, youth, and persons with disabilities. He explained that the 3-year intervention will be funded through a mix of federal allocations, private sector investment, and donor support, with a digital platform linking artisans directly to employment opportunities. Polaris Capital Chief Executive Kelvin Vishima described the partnership as pivotal to tackling unemployment and curbing quackery in the construction sector. He added that the formal training and certification would raise industry standards while providing skilled manpower required for national housing development. The ministry affirmed that the initiative will be rolled out in phases, beginning with a pilot training of 3,000 artisans before expanding nationwide. Now, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has urged the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to intensify its clampdown on fraudulent practices threatening transparency in the aviation sector. Director General Chris Najomo made the call during a courtesy visit to the EFCC chairman, Ola Olukoyede, at the Commission's Abuja headquarters. He warned that unchecked financial misconduct was undermining operational oversight and weakening industry regulations. Najomo highlighted high-value transactions prone to abuse, including aircraft acquisitions, foreign maintenance contracts, and procurement of safety infrastructure. He disclosed that some operators deliberately underreport revenues, manipulate ticketing systems, and divert funds actions which cripple NCAA's safety enforcement and revenue base. He also flagged illegal charter services masked as private flights, stressing that urgent need for EFCC's financial intelligence support. In response, Olukoyede welcomed the partnership, confirming plans to finalize a memorandum of understanding covering joint investigations, compliance monitoring, and intelligence sharing. He assured the senior EFCC officials would collaborate closely with NCAA, adding that aviation remained a critical channel for money laundering through unregulated services, hence demanding stronger surveillance and enforcement. Kenya's private sector recorded a slow pace of contractions in August, supported by stronger performance in manufacturing, wholesale, and retail trade. The Stanbic Bank Kenya Purchasing Managers Index rose to 49.4 in August from 46.8 in July, showing signs of recovery after hitting a year low. Despite the reading remaining below 50, which signals contraction, the softer decline indicates stabilization in business activity. According to the survey, agriculture, construction, and services sector continue to face a lower output, reflecting weak demand and operating pressures. However, the gains in manufacturing and retail trade helped to cushion the overall economy from a sharper downturn, marking an improvement compared to the steep decline observed in July. Analysts noted that while the improvement is modest, it highlights resilience in Kenya's non-agricultural sectors despite inflationary strains and tighter financial conditions. The latest data suggests that the economy may be positioning for gradual recovery, with future performance likely to hinge on stability in input cost and stronger domestic demand. The European Commission has announced plans to introduce new measures before the end of the year to prevent foreign companies from circumventing the European Union's carbon border adjustment mechanisms. The tariff, which begins in January, will charge importers of steel, aluminium, cement, and fertilizers based on their carbon emissions, ensuring foreign producers face the same cost as European firms already paying under the bloc's carbon market. Officials in Brussels fear that some producers, particularly from China, may attempt to avoid the levy by exporting a low-carbon goods to Europe while continuing to manufacture high-carbon products for other markets. To counter this, the Commission is considering assigning fixed carbon values to imports by country or company, rather than calculating emissions for each shipment, a move aimed at preventing manipulations of the system. Industry groups have backed the anti-circumvention push, with European aluminium urging uniform emissions rating for all imports from a single country to simplify enforcement. While the proposal could face resistance from exporters who want credit for cleaner production, European Union policymakers insist it is critical to prevent greenwashing and ensure the tariff genuinely drives global reductions in carbon emissions. Many thanks for watching. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souk News Television. I am Olumide Shokoya. Coming up shortly is Just Africa. Do stay with us.
Traffic regulations are practices put in place in both developed
When Nigeria's best-trained professionals are developing other nations, the country is left with fewer hands to build its own future. However, this narrative is shifting. As Bayo Olaoye explores in this special report, there is a compelling case for viewing the Nigerian diaspora not as a loss, but as an economic powerhouse. From brain drain to brain gain. Recent figures from the Nigerian Medical and Dental Council show that only about 27,000 of Nigeria's 71,740 registered doctors currently practice in the country. Thousands of Nigerian doctors, nurses, and health professionals now work in the UK and the US, contributing significantly to those nations' healthcare systems. It's a trend seen across professions, from teachers to tech experts. Critics argue these individuals should be at home, contributing to Nigeria's development. Yet, the picture is not so black and white. According to World Bank economists Art Cray and David McKenzie, poverty can often be a function of where one lives. For many Nigerians, staying home may mean remaining trapped in poverty. In that context, emigration is a rational choice and often a necessary one. Furthermore, the idea of brain drain has evolved into brain circulation or brain gain. Many Nigerians abroad are returning with skills, capital, and experience to invest in the country. Even those who don't return still give back. As Dr. Segun Aganga noted in Reclaiming the Jewel of Africa, diaspora Nigerians do not have to physically return to make an impact. Diaspora remittances, a lifeline for millions. Diasporans are sustaining the Nigerian economy through billions in remittances. Between 2018 and 2020, Nigerians abroad sent home over $65 billion, accounting for 4% of Nigeria's GDP. These funds uplift millions of households, offering relief from poverty, hunger, and economic despair. Remittances also help stabilize the naira, acting as a buffer against foreign exchange volatility. Yet, Nigeria is missing an opportunity to fully harness this potential. The Central Bank of Nigeria has imposed capital flow restrictions, forcing remitted dollars to be exchanged only at the official rate and in naira. This approach discourages larger inflows and stifles the remittance ecosystem. Diaspora trade and investment, the next frontier. Beyond remittances lies a massive opportunity in export trade. A Commonwealth Secretariat report highlights how countries with large diasporas have a comparative advantage in export markets. With over 20 million Nigerians abroad, this is a goldmine waiting to be tapped. Nigerians abroad crave products from home, be it fashion, food, film, or fine art. But to meet this demand, Nigeria needs a deliberate strategy to engage the diaspora. This means more than just ceremonial congratulations. It demands structured collaboration, policy coordination, and economic diplomacy. NIDCOM and the policy disconnect. The Nigerian Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, under the leadership of Abike Dabiri Erewa, has raised visibility on diaspora issues. However, its current focus remains largely reactive, centered around crises like human trafficking and consular support. For real impact, NIDCOM must collaborate with economic ministries, coordinate with trade and industry stakeholders, and act as a bridge between diaspora investors and local entrepreneurs. Beyond economics, political and institutional engagement. Nigeria must not reduce its diaspora to economic figures alone. They are citizens with a stake in the country's political future. That's why remote voting rights must be instituted, allowing diasporans to participate in national elections. Moreover, complaints about Nigerian embassies and high commissions, especially in the US and UK, must be addressed. Diasporans often face challenges with basic services like passport renewal, which leaves them feeling alienated and abandoned. This must change. The Nigerian diaspora is not a burden, it is a blessing. A sleeping economic giant that, if properly engaged, could help rewrite Nigeria's growth story. from remittances and trade to skills transfer and global influence. The diaspora